intention was that Amorim wouldn't be, at least not on the same level. And as the sporting structure at Man United changed under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, people like Sir Dave Brailsford took charge of transfers instead. How all those roles play out in practice may be slightly different at different clubs though. On the other hand, the contracts of actual managers like Pep or Moyes had no limits on their job role and their involvement with transfers and contracts. But those guys are actually in the minority now, and it's a change that's happened pretty quickly. In 2019, there were only 6 head coaches in the Premier League, but by 2025 there were 14. A clear indication that more and more clubs are moving towards a model where the guy in charge is actually only really in charge on the pitch. And the way things are going, it might not be long before all 20 clubs have got head coaches, and the job position of football manager in the top flight is no more.
Hello, very good morning to you. It's Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney, and we're live on talkSPORT this morning with a packed show for you today. Manchester United secured the services of one of the most talked about strikers in Europe, but a penny for the thoughts of Newcastle United fans who see their team miss out on another top target. Also coming up, as La Liga switches to Disney Plus, are we about to see a new era of football where we can stream all the action? We'll have Hannah Hampton, the Euros winner, Ballon d'Or nominee, live in the studio after 11:30 this morning. And we'll be delving into the news in the Premier League. The Premier League deciding against the taking of knee before games. All of that, plenty more as well. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. It's Friday and we're live on talkSPORT. But before we go any further, bit of breaking news for you. Yes, happy birthday. The oaf Alex Crook is here. Crookie Meister is affectionately known to all of his friends. All 3 of them. He was in a pub on his own last night celebrating. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's not quite true that I was in a pub on my own.
Were you in a pub
I ended the night in a pub on my own after all my friends had gone home.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's a technical way of saying it.
Happy
47 today?
43. Yeah.
43?
So still younger than you.
Indeed.
But older than you, Troy, I think.
Yeah, by a little bit, yeah, it's fine.
You think?
Mate, he ages me every time, but like he thinks I'm like 50.
Listen, it's nice to have you back all together. This is great. It is Friday. The Fun Boy 3 are back together again. Troy, I would say I've missed you, but we were hanging out in New York this week.
We've had some fun, haven't we, mate?
We had some fun, yeah. We would have invited you, but it wasn't really your scene. We were hanging out.
Fun. People were there, enjoying each other, talking to each other. It was great.
It was brilliant, and we were sort of pretending to like matcha lattes with the cool guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were doing all of
Well,
it.
don't worry. While you two were off on your jollies, we kept the good ship talkSPORT afloat. No problem.
That's what you said up there.
That's not what you said on Monday when you rang me up and said to me, when are you coming back? I need your help. Right, okay, let's talk about Manchester United getting a little bit of extra help. They're going to get Benjamin Šeško. He arrived on a private jet at Manchester Airport last night. I've been banging on about the lack of goals in this team for about 3 years now. Does this signing have the potential to be transformative?
Well, let's not get too excited because, you know, there are potentially echoes of Rasmus Højlund. I do think that Šeško's body of work is more impressive and more complete than when Højlund came in. And I think what gives me encouragement is that Christopher Vivell, now in charge of a lot of the recruitment at Manchester United, is signing the player for the 3rd time. So obviously he knows what he's going to get. There's also a suggestion in Germany that, contrary to maybe what Newcastle fans are thinking, he's not gone to Manchester United for the money. He could have actually earned more, according to those German sources, by accepting the offer from Newcastle. So I think, again, you've got a player who is willing to go to Old Trafford even without the lure of Champions League football. And the big issue for United last season was the lack of goals. 44 goals in the Premier League, simply not good enough.
Not just last season.
Yeah, well, you've been talking about it for a while, to be fair, even when Erik ten Hag was in situ. So clearly, Ruben Amorim and the recruitment team have made a concerted effort to strengthen up top. They brought in 3 players who know where the back of the net is. And I think Manchester United are going to have a far better season than a lot of people think.
You got reservations?
Not reservations. I just think that, when you look at the strikers, even Gyökeres in this situation, they're not in a situation where they've gone, right, let's go and get him. They're the number 1 target. Bang, let's go and get it done. I just think everyone still had the trepidation, the what ifs. It's a lot of money. I think his stature and his goals. He's got 89 goals in the last 5 years. So someone who scores regularly. But can he adjust to English football? We're not sure. Will that Man United style suit him? We're not sure. So there's a lot of questions, but I do think it's, they had to go and get someone a little bit better. I still think Højlund is a decent player, though.
You mentioned about the goals. He is a goal scorer. The numbers aren't exactly spectacular, but he's only 22 and he's had great spells during the course of his career. May 2024, at the end of the season before last, he scored an unbelievable number of goals very quickly off the bat. 21 goals for Leipzig last season, 6'5". He's been brought up in the Red Bull system. He's had been known for having a great work rate, and he aggressively leads the press.
Yeah.
So those are all things that Amorim is going to love.
Yeah, absolutely. From that point of view, you're spot on. Well, is he going to be Man United fit straight away? That's going to be a question. Again, the Red Bull system is very much, it was based on the 4-2-2, Jesse Marsh, wasn't it? Straight line, sprint. I think Man U are going to be a little bit more cute in the fact of setting traps. Can he be resolute and mentally strong to wait and then go? But when he goes, he's going to be strong. Again, it's all based on, can Man U get those 2 pivots sorted?
Yeah.
I know you're talking about the strikers and the 2 guys that they've brought in behind them, but the pivot has been the situation. And once they get that, I said to you off air, if they get Belieber, I'd genuinely put them right up there for going for a 4th, for the top 4.
We don't think they're going to get Belieber this summer.
No, I think it's a really difficult deal to do. I think what we're probably seeing is Manchester United signalling their intent, flirting with a player, if you like, to mount a real assault on that signing in a year's time. But if he has a season like he had last season, I think Brighton are going to be talking Moises Caicedo type money, even to consider selling him then. But I agree with Troy's reservations. I've watched a lot of United in pre-season. They look fitter. They look sharper. They're pressing a lot better than they did last season. They look like they're getting to grips with the system. But the issue is the shield in front of the back 5, back 3, if you like. Where do you play Bruno Fernandes? We saw in the Europa League final in Bilbao, playing him in a deeper role is a disaster, really. I'm hoping Kobbie Mainoo can have a better season, but if there's a weakness in United's team, it's clearly the goalkeeper and the holding midfield position.
Well, the Crookmeister has been telling us repeatedly that they don't have much to do to get back amongst it in terms of the Champions League. They've completely reconfigured their attack over the course of the summer. Cunha's come in, and Mbeumo's come in, now Sesko as well. So what are you saying now, in the mix for Champions League?
I think it's difficult because to me the top 4 look locked in, although I think the injury to Levi Colwill shouldn't be understated, because for me, if you're looking for weaknesses in Chelsea's team, it is at the heart of defence and the goalkeeper, even with Colwill fit.
We're going to do a big analysis on that a little bit later on.
Yeah, but I think the top 4 will probably be Liverpool, Arsenal, City and Chelsea. I think the scramble for 5th is really open. Are we expecting Alexander Isak to leave? Probably, and that leaves Newcastle in a really difficult position because you can't replace that quality. Aston Villa, I know they're getting Evan Guessend come in from France, who's very highly rated, but because of PSR, they've not been able to spend big. Brighton have sold more players than they've signed. I just think the teams that finish above United last season are not necessarily strengthening, and clearly United are. So I think the top 5, top 6 is realistic.
And also they've got no European football.
Yeah,
that's going to play a big part towards the end of the season. So yeah, I can certainly see that. Again, it is all based on who do they get in midfield, and can the players stay fit. If you can stay fit, then they've got a chance.
You mentioned the goalkeeper. What's the situation there? Because Onana's going to be out for a little while. Are they going to try and sign someone, swoop for someone? They still seem to be spending money.
Well, there was talk that he was hoping to be fit for the start of the season, which I don't know if it's a bonus or not. Listen, Bayern D has not been great in pre-season. I would say that. Obviously, they need a new goalkeeper. They've clearly not prioritised it. They're looking at the top end of the pitch. I don't think they've got the funds now to go and spend big money on number 1. So what I think they'll do is recruit a number 2 who they think can challenge Onana, and if he's not fit for for the start of the season can come in. I know they like the boy Lammers, Antwerp, and John Victor. Obviously, he was on his way to West Ham. They decided to go for Hermansen. Instead, he's available for a relatively modest fee. So I think they will sign a keeper, but it won't necessarily be a number one.
But just on that, though, you said they haven't got the money. I remember there was a big thing in November, we're going to go broke and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that was always nonsense.
Of course, but you've signed big now.
Yeah.
So it just seems that they keep pulling money out of nowhere. That apparently they got no money.
Well,
so why would they not go and get a proper goalkeeper?
Well, I think they want to sell players first, and we're going to talk about Alejandro Garnacho later. Obviously, you've still got Jadon Sancho there, Malacia, Anthony. Rashford's wages are off the payroll, which I think has helped finance this Šeško deal. But we said at the time, so Jim Ratcliffe saying the club was in danger of going out of business or running out of cash by the end of this year was just not true. It's still a licence to print money, Manchester United. The stadium is full every week. The mega store, they're queuing around the block. Obviously, they've still got a massive appeal in terms of worldwide television money. But I just don't see them spending £60 million on a goalkeeper, and I think you would need to spend that to get a proper upgrade on Onana.
The wage bill is 21% lower than it was in 2023-24. Wow. It's gone down from 80 million to 71.2 million. Despite the fact that there is no European football for the next 12 months, they do have a little bit of a cushion because the United's PSR calculations are the results of their UK registered Red Football Limited, which is a subsidiary of the club's ultimate parent company, which is registered in the Cayman Islands, whose pre-tax losses over 23-24's 3-year PSR period were 319 million, but the difference between Red Football and them was 111 million quid, so that actually brings it down to 200 million.
These sound like loopholes here.
I'll be honest.
There's a little bit more restructuring going on behind the scenes than maybe we've been told.
Football Friday, I nearly fell asleep there. Jesus Christ.
FA Sam.
FA Sam was fully back there.
I think what you asked was how can they afford it, right?
Just tell me, they've made some loopholes and found some cash. That's all we wanted.
I wouldn't say they've made loopholes.
That was a long flight he had back from the States to crunch all those numbers.
Manchester United fans, what are you making of it this morning? Bearing in mind you've just signed Benjamin Šeško, or you will sign Benjamin Šeško in the next 24 hours. They'll probably unveil him tomorrow at the Fiorentina game, won't they? You've shuffled the attack. You've pulled out some aces. What should you be expecting from Ruben Amorim? And there's two sides to this, right? Because United are absolutely delighted about signing Šeško, and I'm sure you're pretty happy about it, United fans. But it is another missed target for Newcastle United. What are the fans thinking this morning? 03717 2233 and 44 is the number to call. You're listening to Matterface Crook and Deeney on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
Good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. We're here right the way through until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And we're talking about Manchester United. Manchester United have shuffled their attack. They've pulled out some aces. What are you expecting, United fans, from Benjamin Šeško? Does this mean you're Champions League contenders? The Crookmeister is predicting a top 6 finish for Manchester United. That's some improvement on last year, but they don't have European football. They couldn't do much worse than they did last year, could they? But Newcastle United on the other side of this story, in a little bit of a different situation. Why are they finding it so hard to get deals done?
Well, I think it's because they've been very ambitious in the level of targets they're going after. Let's go right back to the start of the summer. They were part of the conversation for Dean Howson, but I think he only ever had eyes for Real Madrid. João Pedro, I think, wanted to go to London. He wanted to go to Chelsea. So, again, that was a deal that Newcastle were always going to find it difficult to do. Right from the start of their conversations with Brian and Mbeumo, he made it clear, as he did with Spurs, that Manchester United was the only club for him this summer. I think they were a bit unlucky with Ugo Ekitike. Maybe they didn't necessarily see Liverpool coming up in the rearview mirror. But, again, you're talking about the Premier League champions there. They're clearly going to be a bigger pull. And I think Newcastle are finding that they're not one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League. And I don't mean any disrespect to Newcastle. You know, the admiration I have for Eddie Howe, what they've done, the fan base. It's a great place to go and play football. But they're not one of the established so-called big 6 in the Premier League. And if you've got a choice to go to Newcastle or Manchester United, as Mbeumo did and Šeško did, even without Champions League football, unless you're Alan Shearer, you're not going to pick Newcastle.
Interestingly, you got quite a bit of stick probably about December last year when you were talking about the possibility of players going to Newcastle and choosing Newcastle, and you said that the geographical location causes them a problem. Is that just Southern people thinking it's too far, I can't get there, I'm going to be stranded?
No, I'm talking about like lads that I know, obviously when I was playing, that were coming from like France or Europe or wherever. Their first thought is London. That when they think about England or the UK, they think London. They don't think, oh, what's Birmingham like? What's Manchester like? They don't think about that. They go London first. So I was just simply put, I think if you had an opportunity for a lot of these people, for their families as well, they would always choose London first, would be the first thought. And then it's the teams that you know. So Man United, Liverpool. These are teams that people have come up with, and now you'd add Man City into that as well. So I just always thought that it was always going to be, I said the word less desirable for people to go to Newcastle, and people thought I don't like Newcastle, I don't like the area. It's
You've not been a Jesmond, for example? Jesmond team?
Listen, I've had a few really, really good nights out in Newcastle.
Crook doesn't go there, you know that, don't you?
Of course, he doesn't go anywhere.
Doesn't go anywhere.
He doesn't go
We
past
went there
Manchester.
once.
You didn't go there this year.
Went to Whitley Bay, didn't we? Had a nice theatre night with you Newcastle legends.
You were working, you were doing a theatre night and you were making money out of it. That's the only reason you went there.
And I'm going in September.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Newcastle, Arsenal in September. We'll be there together. I hope so, because I need you to put me up.
Check the temperature. It's a great place to go. But yeah,
It is. But for a player's point of view, it is. They have to pay a premium to get people there. But I actually want to ask Crookie this. I think that they've kind of tested the waters instead of going in with a big, solid bid early. Because you said they've been ambitious, but they haven't gone and like broke the bank to go anywhere.
Well, they did with Šeško. You know, the way they approached the Šeško deal was different to Manchester United. They were deliberately quite aggressive with RB Leipzig to try and get a club-to-club agreement. Manchester United did it the other way. They wanted Šeško locked in before they made that formal
But do you not agree that Šeško was done after everybody else? So, like the early ones, they were testing the waters. So you had Mbeumo's.
They spoke to Mbeumo. They asked how much money he wanted. He quoted telephone numbers and he went to Manchester United.
But Troy's point is that they didn't say at the beginning of the summer, we think we might lose Alexander Isak. Let's go and get Benjamin Šeško. Yeah. They went Ekitike, they went in Mbeumo, they went Vissa. Now they've gone to Šeško. Now they're going back to Vissa again. Is there a clear strategy there? Because obviously we know there's been upheaval in the boardroom. There's no Paul Mitchell.
Yeah, I think, we can overstate the role that Paul Mitchell actually played. A lot of the recruitment was done by Andy Howe anyway, and obviously Eddie always has a big say in terms of recruitment. They got Anthony Elanga over the line very early, and that was a player they tried to sign in January. So clearly there was a strategy there. I just think, and I understand it because they are a big football club, and we get a lot of reaction from fans up in the North East. But there's a danger you hammer Newcastle for not getting signings over the line. There's a lot of clubs who've stood still in the Premier League this summer, and they're not getting the same level of scrutiny.
But the subject is the fact that Newcastle are going to be in a situation they're going to start the season without a number 9.
And also, more importantly, you just said Fulham, Crystal Palace. They're not in Champions League football. This is Newcastle that have been here 2 years ago. That was in Champions League football. Obviously, it ended the way that it ended. And then they had a down season. So they know what they need to do. They know what they're coming into. So it's not a case of like Crystal Palace waiting to see whether they're in Europe or not, and that maybe delays what they can and can't do.
Aston Villa have been quite quiet as well.
Well, you've just said PSR. PSR, they haven't got that. So everyone else has got a reason behind it. Newcastle and the fan base now will be getting frustrated because there's a possibility that they're going to lose their striker. They've lost Callum Wilson already.
Well, I don't see them letting Isak walk out the door without signing 2 forwards.
But Isak isn't even training with them.
No, and he's not going to play at the weekend.
There you go.
It's a massive problem, but they're going to need players in before they can sanction that move to Liverpool.
03717 223344 is the number to call if you're a Newcastle United fan. Let's get into it then with Sammy, the Manchester United fan. And first, Ollie, who's a Manchester United fan. Hello.
Hi, guys. Good morning. How are you all?
Yeah, we're very good, thank you. What do you want to say about Benjamin Šeško and what does it do for Manchester United?
I'm pleased we've got Šeško, but I'm going to say one cheeky thing first. Thank you, Newcastle, for giving us £9 million towards the Elanga deal for us to get Šeško. That was all part of it. So thank you, Newcastle United, for that.
Go on then, Ollie. What do you want to say about your own club?
I will say about Manchester United, with Donnarumma coming in, that would have been fantastic. That's not going to happen, which I understand. Martinez would be a good keeper for us. He's got Premier League experience. And I think that would be an upgrade on what we've got. And personally, I would also put Højlund out on loan for a season, get his confidence back, and then bring him back to Old Trafford. I think he needs a season away to redevelop and find himself, and then bring back.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So what's your view on where you're going to finish this season?
To me, I'm thinking if we finish top 8, I think we've had a very successful season, given we've got no European football, which in my opinion is a good thing for one season, because then we can actually rebuild and start again. Manchester United at the moment, shall we say, yes, last season was disgusting. It wasn't nowhere near good enough, but it also woke the club up to say, we can't fall any further now. We've got to rebuild. We've got to start. And I'm pleased Ineos are putting some money together and buying some players to at least give the fans some confidence.
Okay, Sammy's the next one on the line. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen. A pleasure speaking to you all.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. What do you want to say about Manchester United?
Yeah, I'm very happy about Šeško. I would have liked to see us get a goalkeeper. I know Newcastle fans might not like it, but Aaron Ramsdale, I think we've gone for him. And I think we're going to take a few years for us to build now, and hopefully we can attract more players coming in now with Šeško coming in.
Okay, so Champions League next year or not?
Not Champions League, but as a former Euro, at least get European football as just to get back into it. And then in a couple of years, we can get back into the top 4.
Top man, Sammy, thank you very much. 03717 223344.
Can I just ask a question, right? There's a fascination with Aaron Ramsdale, and you know I like Aaron Ramsdale as a person. But if he would have gone in at Man United, does he change anything? Does he change?
Well, he's better than Onana.
But does he change anything? Is he now going to be, because you're looking at Aaron Ramsdale, who's gone in to go in.
He changed it at Newcastle because he can play with his feet. And Nick Pope's a very good shot stopper, but Nick doesn't have the same ability with his feet that Aaron does.
Again, I'm not sure. Because Arsenal got rid of him because he's not that good. He's not as good with his feet.
Not as good as Raya.
But don't forget the first season he had at Arsenal. When they got back in the Champions League, the fans absolutely loved him. He was brilliant.
No one's disputing that. And again, I know he's your friend, so don't get touchy. That
it's not friend. It's not friend. It's golfing, bud.
I think he's a very good goalkeeper. And you know what? He's a good personality to have in that dressing.
He was great on Crookie's Stag Do that we went on.
But my point is more that when you go on, like, when you look at Ramsdale, you do have to start putting in the fact that he's been part of teams that have got relegated as well. You can't just ignore that. Not that it's his fault, because it's a full team thing. I just don't think it moves the needle in terms of like Man United. They going, oh, That's much better. I still think he makes mistakes, or as people do, and I don't think he's as great as people think with his feet.
No, with Ramsdale, I think going into Manchester United, I don't think the change is as significant.
Yeah.
But I think it is significant at Newcastle because he has a different skill set to Nick Pope, so it changes the way that they operate.
If I was Man U, I'd ask a question about Nick Pope.
Well, that is a possibility. I reported on that a couple of weeks ago that if they opt to go down the Premier League proven route, then actually he's only got a year left of his contract. Newcastle may be open to offers. That could be a possibility.
Mental.
Newcastle fans, 03717223344 is the number to call. How concerned are you about going into the season without number 9? Because where we are right now, Will Asula is going to have to play up front, or it's going to be Gordon false 9, yeah?
Gordon played false 9 in one of the friendlies, didn't he?
Didn't look good though, did he? When he played it, didn't look comfortable. Tried to come out on the left. I think that the young boy Osasuna is very good, but I think he needs to go out on loan this year. Personally, I'd love to see him at a championship team that's trying to compete and play week in, week out, but he's very talented.
I think they'll get the Whistler deal done. The fact that Brentford are now looking at Dongo Watara at Bournemouth suggests that they're prepared now to cash in, whereas they weren't before.
I did hear talkSPORT Drive yesterday, and our mate Adi Oladipo, who's a good friend of ours, we love him to pieces, but I did want to see whether or not he needed his temperature checked yesterday, because he did pose the question to Newcastle fans on Drive, were they failing to sign top-level players because Eddie Howe wasn't sexy enough?
Wow. Wow.
He did say, he did. I don't know, someone got to him there. Someone definitely got to him there, because Ade is a clever man. He's a clever man, and I'm sure he doesn't think that. Because if he does think that, then we need to have words. Because 2 Champions League qualifications, a first trophy since the 50s, they were building a statue of the fella, and rightly so, 6 months ago. So there's absolutely no chance that guy's not sexy.
No, again, as a player, you want to go and play for Eddie Howe, especially as an attacking player. You know you're going to get loads of chances. They've always got to play a certain style of football. So I think the problem with Newcastle is that their starting 11 is very, very good. Yeah. It's just really difficult now to go into a market. Again, not comparing with Man United, but Man United was so low that you could go and get 4 or 5 players and it would instantly improve. I think Newcastle have to be very deliberate with the type of player that they need to get.
And they can't get it wrong.
But that's why they're targeting those top-level players. Eddie Howe will only sign a player if he feels he's going to improve the team significantly. They're not just going to sign players for its own sake, and I think he should be applauded for that. The concern I would have about Alexander Isak, does it start a domino effect? If you see your best player leave, if you're Bruno Guimaraes or you're Tonali, do you think, well, actually, maybe I need to move on to a club who's more regularly established in the Champions League as well?
Okay, 03717223344 is the number to call, 81089 the text. You can WhatsApp us as well. This is Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. We're here till 1 o'clock. We've got Hannah Hampton on the show a little bit later on, and the Ballon d'Or nominations are out. We'll talk about that next.
Bazball, England's approach to Test cricket under Kiwi coach Brendan McCullum. What is it really, and is it working? We've had a look. Is it just aggressive batting? That is a big part of it. Test teams around the world are scoring faster all the time, but the Bazballers are the fastest scoring Test team ever.
This is live. This is talkSPORT. This is Friday with a Fun Boy free. Troy's been in and out like a yo-yo.
I'm just trying to be a nice guy
in the studio.
Which is difficult.
I know. I'm trying to get people
Crook is just sitting there. We're all trying to fix things that are going on. It's new studio with these teething problems. We're sorting out headphones. We're doing this. Crook is just sitting back, relaxing, you know.
Although we did have to ask 6 people how to put the headphones in.
I am massively cack-handed.
03717223344. We're going to get some phone calls on about Newcastle, Manchester United. We've got loads of people ringing up actually this morning, so we want to get into that in the next few minutes. Quickly though, let's just have a quick chat about the Ballon d'Or, because 5 Brits have been nominated for the Ballon d'Or, including Scott McTominay. He's the first Scot to be named as a potential candidate for the Ballon d'Or since...
Ooh, how far back are we going to go?
Who was the last Ballon d'Or nominee from Scotland, you know? I'll give you a clue.
The last winner was Dennis Law, was it?
Yeah. Who was the last Scottish nominee?
Ali McCoist.
1987. Ali McCoist, correct. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice and Scott McTominay, the 5 Brits that have been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. You can join in with a quiz whenever you want.
No, I was just about to say, like, I think Crookie's got about as much chance of winning it as Scott McTominay as well, hasn't he? So
outrageous.
Fair play to Scott, though. He's a good lad.
Florian Wirtz, Salah, Van Dijk, McAllister, Gyökeres, Haaland, now Premier League players that are also nominated for it as well. Cole Palmer has won the European trophy and inspired Chelsea to become world champions. He's a popular guy. He's a bit of a social media king. He's going to win it, isn't he?
No.
What?
Sam, stop it. Honestly, stop it.
Well, who's going to win it then?
I think Vitinha should win it.
Yeah, I would like to see, but he's not going to win it.
He won't win it.
I can see. You can't look past someone from PSG winning it, can you? So I would look at probably. I'd like to see Mendes win it as well. No, normally see left backs win it, but him or Hakimi would be great.
So you're telling me the left back or the right back from the PSG team that lost were thrashed in the final?
In one game, yeah. When
Chelsea.
You look at the whole court, remember, it's about the season, so not one game. So, but did you remember when Cole Palmer didn't turn up for 3 or 4 months?
I remember when Cole Palmer turned up and won the Conference
that?
League final and then turned up and destroyed PSG in the Club World Cup final. I remember that really well.
Nah, but I do think when you talk about, in all seriousness, about body of work, I think you have to look at someone from that PSG team. It has to be.
Well, who is it going to be then?
Vitinha.
I would like it to be Vitinha. I think Dembele obviously is going to be up there for the amount of goals.
He scored 3 goals in 12 games at the end of the season.
How many? See, this is what you do. So when Cole Palmer went in that quiet spell, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the end one.
You recency bias.
You can talk about that quiet spell, but that quiet spell happened between January and March. He turned up in the big games when it really mattered. The finals.
What about the game?
Dembele in the final.
What about that game that they had? They could have went top. How was Cole Palmer in that?
But they finished in the Champions League places. That's what you would expect.
That's
he turned up in the Conference League final. He turned up in the Club World Cup final.
Since the Euros either.
That's hardly played.
We're joking before this gets clipped up and put out.
Which it definitely will be.
Yeah.
Listen, in all seriousness, I think there is a possibility that you split the PSG vote.
Yeah.
Right? Because they are the epitome of a team, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So they're a great team. And you've mentioned 3 players there that could win it from PSG. Dembele, Vitinha, and Nuno Mendes, all terrific players and had a brilliant season. And by right, someone from PSG probably should win it.
Do you think Salah's got a chance?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I think
because of the uproar and the talk about
a lot of the African vote will go his way.
Yeah.
He is an icon, especially in that region.
Yeah.
He has been absolutely magnificent for Liverpool, and he does deserve the recognition. And the idea of being part of a team that weren't necessarily fancied to win the league last year, and yet his numbers were superb. He definitely deserves consideration.
I did get a funny message actually from a friend of mine yesterday saying only Man United could spend 7 years making a Ballon d'Or nominee look like a versatile squad player, which did make me chuckle.
03717 223344. Andy's a Newcastle fan. Hi, Andy.
Hello.
What do you want to say, pal?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, we're good, thank you. What about you?
Two things. Firstly, why do the Man United fans think it's 1999 and they're sailing along on the good ship Lollipop and 30's back? They've signed 3 players. Nothing's going to change. Their time's gone. Secondly, why are the media and press driving the narrative like Alexander Isak isn't going to start for Newcastle next weekend? Saying we haven't got a number 9. He's still there. Yes, there's problems. And even if he does go, what will happen is Eddie's going to use all this negativity to drive the team, and we'll still be up there.
Andy, first of all, you should remember that me and Crook are massive Eddie Howe fans. Okay, I think you should know that from the get-go. The Isak situation is down to the fact that he's been training away from the main group. In fact, he was told to train away from the main group. So therefore, the idea of him starting the season as the number 9 looks unlikely and remote possibility at this stage. Also, he has been the subject of at least 2 bids from Liverpool at this stage. Yeah. If that continues, the likelihood of him remaining a Newcastle player is not high. That's why we're talking about it. It's not ramming down an agenda. It's just telling you what is happening. The key thing is that Newcastle somehow, if he does end up going off somewhere else, is that they are able to replace him. So who would you like to see?
I don't know. There's a few about opinions of decent centre forward. I think we're going to have to go for someone who is under the radar and give them a chance. If he goes, because nobody had heard of Isak before he came to Newcastle, and Eddie's turned him into what some people think is the best striker in the world.
No, I agree with that, Andy. I actually do think he is the best striker in current form. He can do everything. I just think where you're at now, Andy, with Newcastle, it's a difficult situation. Even if Isak does stay past the window, you've got to get him up to speed, get the group to not fall back in love with him, but he's got a lot of work to do on the player. Sometimes that just becomes really difficult and he has a bit of a down year. I'd love to see Newcastle go outside two or three strikers. Maybe not the sexy names.
We need to. We need to.
But I could, I'm not pushing for this, but somebody like a Mikel Antonio that you could put as a backup that that no matter what, after the Champions League games, I can throw him in, he'll be solid and he'll get you the goals. I could see him doing something like that, get a young one, talented one, and then Antonio as a backup.
Do you know what? It's interesting. You know, we're talking a lot about Eddie Howe, and Paul Mitchell's come up as well. No Newcastle fans are really questioning the owners. You look at Chelsea, they've found creative ways to get around their PSR issues. Aston Villa have just done the same, actually. A graphic has just popped up here, courtesy of our friends at The Athletic. Newcastle, obviously owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Darwin Núñez is about to join Al Hilal, who are owned by the Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia. Since they came into the football club, PIF have spent on signings from Premier League clubs 115 million to Aston Villa. You're now talking about 80 million to Liverpool, 81 million to Chelsea, 75 million pounds to Manchester City. Only 19 million pounds of Saudi money has come into Newcastle in terms of buying players and taking them over to the Saudi Pro League.
So you want corruption?
Yeah, I must say, so you want them to...
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, what's more important for PIF? Is it building football in Saudi Arabia, or is it actually showing ambition to Newcastle?
There'll certainly be rules and investigations should they start funneling money into Newcastle's coffers, wouldn't it?
Well, no, obviously the rest of the Premier League tried to block PIF from buying players from Newcastle. That got overturned. So as long as they don't buy players from inflated prices, it's not a problem. But I'm not necessarily saying that. But obviously, Liverpool.
That's exactly what you said.
Liverpool are trying to buy Alexander Isak.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the Darwin Núñez money is going to help fund that transfer. So our PIF just helping a rival try and take one of Newcastle.
Or why didn't they buy Darwin Núñez for Newcastle?
Well, I think when you look at him in the Premier League, I'm not sure they're going to go down that.
Well, it's better than having no one at number 9. What about Rasmus Højlund? He's available.
I just wonder if the owners at Newcastle have checked out a little bit when it comes to the project at St James's
Oh,
Park.
no, I think that's massively wide. But I think you compared it to Chelsea. I think you got to look. Chelsea got a women's team that they was able to sell off as an investment. They've got hotels on the site they could sell. There's so many. It's a completely different project.
And
There's
Newcastle
so many different ways around it. Newcastle
in the process of building a new stadium, right?
Exactly. They're building up to that point. Again, I think your statement of them checking out is wild.
Has he been on birthday pop, do you reckon?
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. I think what he's doing is trying to build this rivalry up with Newcastle and Man United. That's what he's trying to do.
You reckon he's
a little dig in
I
there.
think you'll find,
he wants to get Andy to
you'll find that's already there. It goes back to 1996.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you very much. 03717223344. Just in case you didn't know, the women's nominations for the Ballon d'Or also include 5 Lionesses. Leah Williamson, the captain, Chloe Kelly, Alessia Russo, Lucy Bronze. Michelle Ajamang has been nominated for the Women's Copper Trophy, but another one of those women's nominations for the Ballon d'Or, Hannah Hampton, is coming in the studio this morning, 11:30. We're looking forward to seeing her. She's coming in for a chat in about 45 minutes' time, so stick around for that. We'll continue to take your calls in the next section of the programme. Newcastle fans and Manchester United fans certainly want to get involved this morning. Scott wants to get involved. We'll speak to him next. You're listening to talkSPORT. It's Matterface, Crook and Deeney. It's Friday. It's Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. a number of games live on talkSPORT over the course of the weekend. Birmingham Ipswich tonight kicks off our coverage of the EFL Championship. You going to that one, aren't you?
Working it, mate, yeah. Can't wait.
You're working again? You're doing double shift?
Of course.
You're such a good boy.
We're straight back to work,
Straight
mate.
back to work now. Straight coming in hot.
Yeah, we're in and we're getting after it. It's going to be a massive game now.
A massive game.
I think it's like it is a tone setter as well. So if Birmingham win, obviously they can carry on that momentum from last year. I think if Ipswich lose, there are going to be questions. Are they going to be the Luton? I don't think they are, by the way. But, you know, those kind of mentality questions start kicking in. So I think it's a real exciting game. We're expecting a lot of goals. So hopefully a little 3-2 would be lovely.
Loads of championship coverage this weekend on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, including Saturday lunchtime, Southampton against Wrexham. We're round the grounds with Adrian Durham on Saturday afternoon as well. The Community Shield at Wembley. Crook and I will be there on Sunday as well to bring you Crystal Palace and Liverpool. Next weekend, the Premier League starts in earnest. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We've got everything covered right here on talkSPORT. How much of the chatter about potential signings and then not anyone really turning up filters into the dressing room? Do players sit there thinking, I'm hearing this player and that player, link, nothing's really happening? What impact does it have?
You know, you get frustrated, 100%, especially when you can see others around you doing business. And again, Newcastle have only got Elanga and Ramsdale through the door. And to the players, that'll be like, oh, yeah, they're good lads because we played against them and we've seen them. But it's not that one that gets you excited. It's not that one that goes, oh, we've got, I don't know, if Liverpool got Isak through the door, they'll be, oh, my God, we're going to win everything. We can win a Champions League. You know, that level of expectation goes up. I think with the lads that Newcastle have signed, while they're good players, it doesn't go, oh, that moves the needle. And I think that's where the lads will start going. It gets to this weird stage as well, Sam. I've been in dressing rooms when this happens, when lads start to go, do I need to leave? Because we were told all summer it's going to be good and we're going for it. And then you start questioning, have a little chat with your agent about...
So you think, because Newcastle haven't signed the players that maybe they were targeting, there'll be people sitting in that dressing room that then turn around to their mates and go, or to their agent and say, do you know what? Maybe we should go now.
This question, just ask the question. I'm not saying that they're sitting there actively searching for it, but it does start to play on your mind and go, oh, you know, they said we were going to have this type of player. They said we were going to be different. The season starts next week, and if anything, we're weaker. And then you start to say, like, do I need to? It's just a question that pops into your head. Like being in the gym and you go, right, we're going to run for an additional 10 minutes, or do I not? It's like, I probably could, but I've done enough. And you start questioning yourself, don't you, Alex? But
hold on, you can talk. You turned me down this week.
Whoa,
I tried to take you for a run. You
at what time?
6:15 a.m.
On holiday.
In Central Park, though.
On holiday.
But you turned me down.
Yeah, absolutely, I did. Yeah, I'm not getting up on holiday at 6:15 in the morning. No chance.
Scott's a Manchester United fan. Chris is a Newcastle fan. Let's start with Chris, if we can. Newcastle United fan. Talk to us about the problems at Newcastle United. What are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, it's morning, lads.
Morning.
It's regarding the PSR rules. I mean, we are massively hampered by that. I know, Troy, you said that we're not, but if we start giving out players like 250, 300,000 £300,000 wages a week, then it's going to take us over those PSR levels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got like your Man Cities, your Chelseas, your Man Uniteds that have had 20, 25 years of investment.
Yep.
We haven't. We've had 3 years. So we're trying to fish in pools that other clubs have got 20 years in front of us.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Chris. Sorry to cut you. I don't disagree with that. What I mean is you can still go and get things done. You was able to get Elanga done. You was able to get Ramsdale. I think when we look at Aston Villa, they're tied in the situation that they can't do things until people are gone. That was kind of the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, but a lot of the people that we've been looking at, I believe that they've gone to the other teams because they're paying the higher wages.
It's not just about wages, though, is it? Apparently, according to sources in Germany, Šeško hasn't gone to Manchester United because he's getting paid more money.
But it might not be getting paid more money up front, but the add-on bonuses might be turning up to £300,000 a week. We don't know because we're just surmising.
Yeah.
But it's the same with the striker situation. We were originally just looking for a backup striker at the beginning of the transfer window until Liverpool turns Isaac's head, and now we're looking for two strikers.
Again, that's not something that's happened over the last 2 weeks. Isak has been unsettled at Newcastle for at least a year. When he was promised a contract by Amanda Staveley, she leaves the football club. Paul Mitchell comes in and decides, actually, you've got a few years left on your current deal. We don't need to give you a pay rise. So this is a situation that Newcastle should have seen.
So this is Paul Mitchell's problem.
Yeah,
he's caused this.
Certainly didn't help.
Yeah, but the same token, nobody was talking about him leaving.
Yes.
Yeah, he was unsettled.
I wrote about him leaving in March. I wrote in March that Liverpool would come with a serious offer this transfer window. If I knew that, Newcastle would have known that.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay.
Look, Chris, I just think what my point is, and again, to what you talk about PSR, and again, we're not going to talk about what Crookie was saying, where Saudi should just start buying all these players and just throwing all the money
That wasn't what I was saying. What I was saying was,
what you actually
why
said,
are they
yeah.
giving other Premier League clubs money, particularly Liverpool with
I
Darwin
get it.
Nunez? I wasn't suggesting that they can plough money
This
into
vehicle is reversing. No, I just think it's a case of when people try to compare it to like Chelsea, it's very difficult. I agree with your point. Chelsea had loads of assets that they could sell. Newcastle are building towards that, but the way that they have to do that is by keeping in Europe, and they have to do that.
But also there needs to be a level of patience, right? There needs to be an understanding that this is a newish project in comparison to those at Manchester City and Chelsea, which we've already been talking about, which have been the subject of investment over the course of 20 years has already been mentioned. 03717 2233 44. Scott joins us on the line now. Scott, hello, you're a Manchester United fan, you right?
Yeah, good mate. You?
Yeah, we're very good, thank you. I came down this morning from Manchester on the train. The weather looks great. Looks like it's going to be a good weekend. Manchester United have got Benjamin Šeško in. You must be happy.
Yeah, extremely happy. Extremely happy. I am disappointed for Newcastle, of course.
Are you?
Well, I am, yeah, because their support deserves more. Is what I'm going to say.
That's fair.
They do. I mean, them guys and girls go every day, every game, home and away. There's thousands of fans follow them, and I can understand the frustration. But unfortunately, the situation is we're going down to Old Trafford today to see Šeško being unveiled tomorrow, and the part of that is because United has the pull of a big club, regardless of where we finished last season. 15th, very, very disappointing. Absolutely pathetic performances last season. And Newcastle offered more money for Šeško and other players, but they still want to come and play for Manchester United, not Newcastle United.
Scott, can I interrupt you and just ask you a question, mate, really quick? I think a lot of this is, again, Man United are on a high. What are you expecting in the first 6 months from Amorim? What are you expecting now? Because I think he got a bit of a pass, didn't he, last year from a lot of people in regards to not his squad, etc., etc. Now they've got rid of people. Now he's bought a lot of his own, and he's had pre-season. What are you expecting to see within the first 6 months?
A lot better performances than we did last season, but I'm expecting us to be up there in the top half of the league, challenging and put performances in that United fans deserve to see, not having to go and be the 12th player, that we had to be last season. Some of them players have got to perform on that pitch.
Okay.
They're worthy of playing in that match.
And Scott, could be one word answer on where you're going to finish next season.
Top 6.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. 03717 2233 44. It's 2 words, but anyway, fair enough. What impact does it make when one of your leading lights ends up picking up a major injury? James Maddison has got an ACL problem, and a big problem yesterday was diagnosed for Levi Colwill at Chelsea as well. We'll discuss that with Troy and Alex Crook next.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against a real prospect, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Hello, very good morning to you. Sam Matterface with Alex Crook, and Troy Deeney is here somewhere, although he's escaped the building for just a second. He's like a cat on a hot tin roof this morning. He's only just back from his holiday. He's been 6 weeks away, and he's jumping in, jumping out of his seat every 2 seconds. Why do you think that is? Have you got a funny aftershave on?
Just to make room for the newsreader. Primarily.
All right. He's coming back in now, though. So yeah. Oh, here he is.
What, lads?
I don't really understand it. What is it? Is it sort of like the lack of nimble movement? Have you not been training?
No. I've actually been training a lot. Thank you. But no, just taking some calls like Crookie does. But my calls are more in person with people that actually matter.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Anything you want to share with us this morning?
Not yet.
All right. Okay. Breaking news from Troy Deeney's camp coming very soon. James Maddison has injured himself again. He was injured towards the end of last season. He's picked up another knee injury. This one's significant. It's an ACL, which is going to probably leave him on the sidelines until around about March time next year. Big problem for Chelsea as well, because Levi Colwill been ruled out before a ball is kicked with an ACL injury himself. He has had surgery already, and the recovery is already underway. Just imagine for a second gearing up for a season, waking up this morning facing 9 months of rehab. Troy, explain what those players are feeling a week before the big kickoff.
It's not just that it's next week. It's more the fact of, will I get called up for the England squad? Do I miss a World Cup? Again, we talk about 9 months. you can get one thing wrong in your process and it sets you back 2-3 months. So for a lot of these guys now, they'll be heartbroken. I've been there when I've had a serious injury, and you do start questioning yourself. You go into a little bit of a false depression, I call it. It's like, oh my God, it's all over, and what am I going to do? Will I ever be the same? And after a few days, after you have your surgery, and then after you get a couple of days back in the training ground, you're like, all right, focus now. How do we get back at it? But the worst part for everyone, and any player that's played will tell you this, is when you're all in there, you feel normal at the start because you're walking around, you're shouting to everyone, and then they go out to train and you're just in the gym. And it's a very lonely process. So I think more for Colwell in this situation than James, because I think Levi would have been starting for England. I think he would have been coming off the back of them winning the Club World Cup, really confident, thinking, right, we could go and kick on here. And now he's probably looking at not going to play a significant role this year in the Prem, but also not going to lead England out. And I think that's going to be a bit of a killer for him.
It was a bad day yesterday for Thomas Frank. Not only the Maddison injury being ruled out for quite some while, but also being beaten up by Bayern Munich by 4-0. And it could have been more as well, by the way. Kudus and Palhinha through the door. Thomas Frank would have liked more, I would have thought, by this stage of the summer transfer window. But he was chosen by the hierarchy because he was Thomas Frank, and he is not going to cause you that much grief, I think. And maybe he has to be prepared to work with a squad that mainly won the Europa League last season.
Well, if that's the case, he's got a problem, because obviously Ange Postecoglou came out in Bilbao and said that from January onwards he had to prioritise Europe because they didn't have a strong enough squad to compete on two fronts. They're now going into the top competition. They're in with the big boys in the Champions League. I know you don't want to read too much into pre-season, but it sounded like it was men against boys in that friendly against Bayern Munich. So, yeah, confidence is not going to be high. Obviously, they missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, which would have been competition for James Maddison. So they've gone from potentially having two really good number 10s to not having one at all. João Palhinha's come in, but I think it's a bit of a gamble on a player who 2 years ago was brilliant in the Premier League, 2 years older now, didn't work out for him in Germany. And Kudus for me is hit and miss as well. I don't think that's nailed on to be a success.
Yeah, I don't think Palhinha is a gamble. I think whenever we've done the games and spoke about it, I've always worried about that midfield. I don't know who their holder is, who their enforcer is. I think you know what you're getting with Palhinha.
He's terrific.
He's proper. I get your point. He hasn't played as much and he's not in that vein of form, but I don't think he's put miles on the clock in terms of him playing week in, week out, or had any significant
He's a great
injuries.
player.
He's a great player. I think he's an upgrade on Bentancur, in my opinion. I think they need to figure out what that midfield looks like.
There's a lot of players in. I was actually just reaching down for my bag, and then I realised that everyone could see me doing that.
Yeah.
But this morning on the train, I was writing out the Tottenham squad and where everyone sort of configures, and I noticed it was a little bit imbalanced. There's a lot of players that want to play on one side.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players. You may end up having inverted wingers, someone playing on the left-hand side who's actually a right footer who prefers playing on the right-hand side. But there's a lot of players in that midfield area. You know, they've got a lot of names. Got Bissouma, Bergvall, Bentancur, Archie Gray, Sarr. They've got players.
Kulusevski at times.
And Palhinha. So you've got a lot of players that are playing for two positions in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you look at the two centre-halves, if they're fit and available, that's solid. That's very, very good. It can compete in the Champions League.
Are they fit and available enough?
Exactly.
And Dragosan's already injured.
Dragosan's injured. Danzo, again, he's done nothing wrong, but he was going to Wolves last year. Let's call it as it is. He was going to Wolves for a reason. So I don't think if you had to play those two in the Champions League game, I think you're in trouble. Fullbacks is questionable. Like, where's Jed Spence going to play? Is he going to be your number one? Is Pedro Porro going to be your number one right back? I'm not sure. The goalkeeper, I'm definitely not sure on the goalkeeper personally. But you start looking through this, going for the Champions League. I think it's a really difficult time.
Vicario obviously started really well and then made a few mistakes and hasn't been at his best since then. Got injured. You've got Kinsky, who they bought for a decent price in January.
Yeah, and by all accounts, Thomas Frank's been quite impressed with him in pre-season. So I think there is a genuine fight for the number one jersey. But I agree with what Troy's saying. Are either of those really up to the level in terms of competing in the Champions League? We've talked a lot, haven't we, about top 4, top 6, top 8. I haven't really had Tottenham in that conversation.
No, I think they should be. I think last year was an outlier. I think you're going to start to see the correction of the teams doing what they need to do. A lot of Spurs players were injured last year, 13 at one point. But again, what's going to happen with Richarlison? Because it was taught that he was leaving. Again, it must be really difficult for Thomas Frank because he can't move anyone out because no one wants to buy these players because of their injury records. and they can't get the people in that he wants because they can't get the players out. It's like it's just going against each other. So he's probably going to have to work with what he's got. Kudos, I think he's a good player. I think he's got all the ability. We spoke to Kevin Nolan, didn't we, at Ascot, and he was saying how good he is and the ability he's got. But I do think now with Maddison going down, they have to look at that 10. I still think it's a perfect landing spot for Jack Grealish, personally. I think it's a wonderful landing spot.
Played down their interest this week in Jack Grealish, Tottenham.
But that's more. I think that's more of a Spurs thing. But you're talking about someone that's been, for whatever people want to talk about, Jack. He's been at City. He's used to winning. He knows the level, knows the standard, and he's an upgrade on everything that they've got there. So for me, the fact that they're playing it down, to me, is daft.
You've been pretty hot on Chelsea. You think they were great value for the title. You said that the odds were too big. Have you changed your mind because of the injury to Levi Colwill, and why would it change your mind so significantly?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win the league, but I just think if you look at Liverpool are less than 2-1, Arsenal I think we're about 5-2, Manchester City 10-3, and then Chelsea 10 or even 12-1 in some places. I didn't see that big a gap between them and the other three, but I do think this Colwill injury is significant because I mentioned earlier in the programme, if I have a concern about Chelsea, A, it's the goalkeeper, and B, it's the heart of that defence. And actually, I think Colwill probably needs somebody experienced alongside him in order to form a really good partnership. So now that he's taken out the equation, the suggestion is that maybe Renato Vega might stay at the club and play as a central defender. But I think that's going to happen.
as well, they bought in.
Yeah, but again,
he's a left back, but he can play left centre back as well.
He can play left centre back, and he might have to play there now because of the fact that Colwill is injured. But they've got Chalobah, they've got
the one that we keep
Renato
about.
Vega.
Fofana, I know he gets injured, but if he's fit and available,
but he is back training.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best centre backs in the country when he's fit and available. It's just his body just keeps breaking down. Yeah, it's a shame.
On a regular basis, consistent football for him has been difficult, hasn't it, for a long time? But they have, they've got Jarell Hatto and Cucurella at left back. They've got Badiashile. They have.
Yeah, he's not the answer though, is he? Let's be honest.
No, but they've got numbers back there.
Yeah.
They've got Tosin.
He did well as well.
Renato Vega, who was very good last year, out on loan.
And he wants to be a centre-back, doesn't he? Now?
He wants to be a centre-back, and he could play centre-back now that Colwell's not available. They've got Chalobah.
Chelsea have got a great squad.
They've got Gusto. They've got James. So although the fact that you say that the defence is a bit of an issue, and I've subscribed to that too, they have conceded too many goals. One of the biggest issues is that they were underperforming on their expected goals. They've changed that with the acquisitions of João and with Liam Delap. That's their plan anyway. They brought in. There's a possibility they could bring in another winger. Is that still true, Alejandro Garnacho?
Yeah, I think every chance that happens. Obviously, it will come down to the transfer fee, but he's pushing for the move. He has been all summer. I think they've just been keeping him waiting and saying, be patient and we'll move when the time is right. We broke the story, didn't we, that Paul Winstanley, one of the sporting directors, was still a big fan, even if they do sign Xavi Simon. So, yeah, going forward, no problem. But again, you look at the defence, you look at Arsenal, Gabriel and Saliba, rock solid at the back. Liverpool have got Van Dijk and Canate there. Manchester City, Diaz and one other.
John Stones, yeah.
I don't see the Chelsea defence, certainly the heart of it is on that level at the moment.
Yeah, I think as well, but what you're looking at there is you're looking at guys that have been playing and have won things. So for the other guys, I think the fact that Chelsea got a young team is always that unknown. Again, we got to call it fair. Give Robert Sanchez loads of grief over the course of the year. He was excellent in the Club World Cup.
It was terrific.
And I think that's actually
the final.
I think that's actually made a bigger problem for Chelsea now because it's. I think if you'd had a terrible Club World Cup, I think they would have moved on.
I don't think it has. I actually think it's helped them out massively because the bigger problem is that everyone was saying they need to move him on, and they were pretty steadfast in their belief that he was going to be their number one. Any criticism of Robert Sanchez, and they would spike up massively. The fact that he did so well in the Club World Cup almost legitimises what they've been saying for the last 6 to 12 months.
They've got a young goalkeeper as well, haven't they, that they really like?
Mike Penders.
Yeah, they really like
Just
him.
gone on loan to Strasbourg.
Yeah, so maybe, a year from now, maybe they're saying Sanchez can bridge the gap. And if everything else in front of him is good enough and limit his exposure, then we should be all right. But I think the only problem I see with Chelsea is that the late start or the late end of the year, short turnaround, I think it's going to catch up with them. And now you start to see Colwill injured. Will other people start getting injured because they've had no rest?
Well,
I think that could be the issue. And then obviously you're talking Champions League football on top.
So what does success look like for Chelsea and
Minimum
Tottenham Hotspur this summer? What do you reckon?
I agree with Troy on Chelsea. Minimum top 4. Spurs, difficult. I mean, they're going to be better than they were
top 8
year.
finish?
They're not going to lose as many games.
They've got to be better than they were last season, otherwise they'll be relegated.
Yeah, literally.
I think top eight will be the target.
Yeah, I think top eight would be fair, and don't get humiliated in the Champions League.
Okay. 0371 722 You can text us 810 It is Friday. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Troy Deeney with Soccer Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. We'll talk about La Liga in a little while as well, because they've got a new home. Ballon d'Or is a prime example why United, a rudderless, toxic club. Scott McTominay, they are making all the same mistakes this transfer window that they have done for the last 10 years. Says Kev, Aston Villa will never be as big as Newcastle. Manchester United is a legacy club and can pay more due to PSR. That's from one texter. During the mid-90s, me and the then girlfriend were on holiday in Gran Canaria. Every day we were getting badgered by timeshare people constantly. So one day I popped into a dodgy-looking sports shop and got a fake Bayern Munich top, the 3 Adidas stripes on the shoulder kit. Next day, walked blissfully on the beach without anyone approaching us until a group of German timeshare sellers chased after us. Should have worn an Australian top instead. Everyone gets up to funny things on their holiday. 81089 on the text if you want to get in touch. 0371 722 334 is the number to call. Let's get into BetMGM and the latest odds.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And we're joined now with Dan Towles from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Birmingham against Ipswich, Southampton against Wrexham. Big games over the weekend, both live on talkSPORT. Morning, Dan.
Morning, gents. Good to have you back indeed. Championship kicks off tonight at St Andrews, as you said. Birmingham host Ipswich, both sides towards the top end of the market to get promotion to the Premier League, with Ipswich the 3-1 favourites, and Birmingham, despite just coming up from League One, are 7-1 to win the league. Ipswich obviously lost some players, including the likes of Liam Delap to Chelsea, and still doing their best to keep hold of players like Amari Hutchinson. So despite them being favourites to make an immediate return to the promised land, I think 3-1 might be a little bit skinny. In terms of the game, Birmingham's home advantage makes them favourites tonight at 7-5, whilst Kieran McKenna's side around the 2-1 mark. On to tomorrow, Southampton v Wrexham, one of the 12:30 kickoffs. Saints at home in the first league game for Will Still. Their odds on, whilst Wrexham have added some experience with the likes of Connor Cody to their squad. They've had a little bit of an indifferent pre-season. They're nearly 4-1 to kick off their start in the Championship with a win. But we've boosted them to evens for a max stake up to £20 just to score a goal. But personally, as a league Championship, it's so hard to predict. There'll be twists and turns all the way through the season. But Frank Lampard's commentary side at 12-1, I think, could be a bit of value.
Yeah, no one's talking about them at the moment. What about the Community Shield? People talking about Liverpool for the title, but Crystal Palace have had a bit of a problem getting players in this summer.
They have. I'm not sure whether teams will class this as a trophy or not. I think Mikel Arteta once claimed that they have.
Come on. Pep Guardiola, trophy.
Pep Guardiola,
Jose Mourinho, trophy. Mikel Arteta, trophy. They all say it.
They did. Brighton won it in 1910, so I'm definitely classing it as a trophy. As you expect, Liverpool odds on at the price at 8-13. Palace are the outsiders at 4-1, but Palace have a little bit of hope that, given the league title winners have only won one of the last 5 Community Shield games. So the last 6 games between the two sides has only ever seen more than 2 goals in one game. So I expect it to be a pre-season friendly. I don't expect there to be too many goals. And I'll be watching, but I'll be waiting for the lineups to be announced before getting involved.
And it's live on talkSPORT as well. Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock kickoff. Make sure you're with us for that. Okay, so no golden goals just yet, right? No. But you've got something special planned for us this Friday.
Something special, you've built it up, yeah. So we're just going to have a little bit of fun. So that whilst the debate rages on...
I was just trying to do my job here, amplifying the product. Yeah.
Amplifying the product, okay, you're right. So the debate still rages who actually won golden goals last year. So obviously, Crookie got the most predictions, but you got the most average points per game, Sam, and Troy's, I think, contribution financially makes it him the most money to charity. So
MVP.
Points per game, mate. You can only win the games that you play.
Anyway, Dan, please, mate, continue.
So for a bit of fun, in the lead up to next week where Golden Goals comes back, we're going to try and build a charity pot with a little league prediction for 3 teams in the Premier League and where in the table you think they'll finish. So essentially, you're all going to start with £500, and for every league placing different to your prediction at the end of the season, you will lose 50. So if you predict your team to finish 4th and they actually finish 6th, then you win £400. Or if you predict a team to finish in 1st place and they actually finish 11th, then you don't get any money in the pot to charity.
And what about if we predict them to finish 4th and they finish 2nd? Do we get an extra £100?
No, because the whole point here is trying to be. This is nearest to the pin.
All right, okay, fine. Okay.
So all monies again will be donated to prostate cancer alongside our Golden Goals predictions that we'll start next week. So Sam, we're going to start with your beloved Chelsea. So you're going to give us, where in the table do you think Chelsea are going to finish?
4th.
Going 4th. Champions League, World Club Championship.
Yep.
Champions.
I think you've got to factor in the Cole Willing injury, but I do think that, having got a bit of momentum behind them after what was a terrific end to the season, a great summer, the signing of Delap as a backup striker, I think that's what it'll end up being, and João Pedro was terrific. If those two can finish off some of the chances that Cole Palmer will inevitably create, then I think they'll be better than last season. But I still think Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal and Liverpool are just a little bit above them. And the added commitment of the Champions League will just hamper them a little bit, I think. So 4th for Chelsea.
4th. Okay, we're looking 4th for you. Crookie, we're going to come to you now. Happy birthday, by the way, Crookie. We're going to go Man United for you. Now, this should be fun.
First he's going to go for, yeah.
Well, no, I've sort of already set my stall out. I think the top 4 probably is beyond reach, although Chelsea, maybe with the Colwill injury, could be vulnerable. I don't see teams like Newcastle and Villa strengthening so far, and United clearly have. So I'm going to be optimistic. I've also watched most of pre-season, and there are green shoots of recovery, positives for Ruben Amorim, who goes into the season under big pressure for me. I'm going to go 5th.
5th.
So you're going Champions League?
Well, yeah, probably. It would be enough, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah.
So Newcastle finished 5th last year on 66 points. United finished 42. So you think they're 24 points better off next season?
I've gone 5th.
He definitely didn't do the numbers.
Hold on. So you're starting to wobble on that horse?
No, because the big stat is the fact they only scored 44 goals. They brought in 2 Premier League players in Cunha and Bumo, got 35 between them, and they've now got Šeško to come in and replace Højlund. Defensively, they're fine. 5th.
5th. Right, we're looking 5th. And then, Troy, I've stitched you up slightly here.
Yeah,
I've asked you to predict Brighton and when you think they'll finish.
I am going to go 9th. I think Brighton... I don't think they've done a lot so far in the window, but every time we look at Brighton and go, oh, they're going to be poor because they sold Caicedo or whoever it is, they just find another replacement, and I just think they're just a solid football team. So I expect them to do a little bit of deals between now and the end of the season, and they will finish 9th.
Interesting, isn't it? Because there was one stage last season where if they'd just won a couple of other games just before Christmas, they would have been Nottingham Forest. They would have been up there. They would have been in and around it. So... yeah, I'm not sure they're as far away as you think.
No, I just think that a lot of the other teams will be better. So I think Man U will be better. I think Spurs will be better. I think, I think it's going to level out a little bit more. So I'm happy with 9th.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Dan, would you be happy with 9th?
I think we've got to get Europe, mate. I think as we tasted it a couple of years ago, as Sam mentioned, there was a couple of results where in some last minute, we were 2-0 up at Leicester with 5 minutes to go. Well, there was a couple of home games. I think Wolves at home we drew as well, and when we were leading with 5 minutes to go. So I don't think we're miles off, but I think as a club, we need to aim for Europe for next season.
Right. Interesting. Okay, that was a look ahead to the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. It's 18+, BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
We will talk a little bit about Disney Plus securing the rights to La Liga very shortly. But in the studio after 11:30 this morning, we have a very special guest. A European Championship winning goalkeeper, Hannah Hampton, is going on the show next.
Bazball, England's approach to Test cricket under Kiwi coach Brendan McCullum. What is it really, and is it working? We've had a look. Is it just aggressive batting? That is a big part of it. Test teams around the world are scoring faster all the time, but the Bazballers are the fastest scoring Test team ever.
Hey, welcome back. It's talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. We're here through till 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm delighted to say that we are joined in the studio with Hannah Hampton. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're really good. You know, we can't believe it. Treble winner, European Championship winner, Ballon d'Or nominee, penalty saver extraordinaire.
You can not say all those things.
Does that feel like we put pressure on you there?
Just a tad.
That's quite amazing, though. What a year you've had.
I know, not too bad, not too shabby, eh? Just a girl from the Midlands doing well, but no, it's just been a nice season, really.
More than a nice
season.
Yeah, yeah.
More than a nice season.
Couldn't happen to a nicer person, though. I will say that. I've obviously met you at Birmingham.
Yeah.
What was that? 3 years ago.
Ages now.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and
Blimey.
lovely, well-mannered young lady who's obviously gone on to wonderful things. But I think you also have to just remember. I was just saying to you outside. She's done all the hard work. She's done all the work. You deserve every part of this, so don't be too shy. Get them shoulders back and enjoy it a little bit.
I know, I just like being in the background. I'm not all for the front of things.
Okay, let's start off by asking you some really key questions. Number one, how's the nose?
Oh, improved.
Yeah?
Improved now, yeah. Back to being straight.
Yeah, and breathing all right?
Just about.
Okay, good. That's good. Should we start by talking about the pressure that you face going into the Euros? Because obviously you had a brilliant season. You've been with Chelsea. Chelsea done fantastic. You get selected for the squad. Mary Earps decides to retire. You know at that moment you're going to be the number one for England at the Euro 2025 Championships. What are you thinking?
Great.
Is that how you saw it? You thought great.
The way I saw it was it's just going to put a lot more pressure on. People are just going to take a lot more criticism or scrutiny. They'll look at it a lot more because of all the great things that Mary did. So I was a bit like it's going to open me up to a lot, but also I knew that it's what I wanted to do. So I've got to just face it. I've got to come to terms with it and just run with it.
Yeah, and obviously the women's team that won it here in, what was it, 4 years ago now?
2022.
they ended up becoming like superstars. The reason my daughter plays football is because of that team that went on to play. So there was a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation, but it gave you so much room to grow as well. I think the penalty shootouts, obviously you did so well in all the games, but to do it in the penalty shootouts and you to be saving a lot of these penalties, I think it gave you all the space to step into that, didn't it, as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think people could probably see like over the tournament their confidence grew, not just for myself but everyone. I definitely know that for me, by the time I got to the final, I was a lot more confident with how, as a team, we did things and the connections that you build and everything like that. It just felt more comfortable. So it was nice. Just, I don't know, it kind of, you're seen as a different way within the group, not just in like the public eye, but in the group. You've
earned it.
Yeah. So it's a nice feeling. It's so hard to explain to someone who just doesn't understand it. Like I was saying to you earlier, like all the little things but it's lovely. And I think the group were in such an amazing place that it didn't matter what results we were going to be in the games. You saw that we would just be able to have that bit of quality and get the results back.
Was there one moment when you felt like your name was on the trophy? Because obviously you did it the hard way, lost your first game, first team ever to come from 2 goals down in a knockout tie and progress. You had to come from behind again in the semi-finals, and even in the final, Spain put a lot of pressure on in terms of possession. Was there one moment when you thought, actually, we've got this?
I don't think anyone did, to be honest. Let's be honest. No, I do think the team was special in the fact that, like you say, we've came from 2 goals down. There was that stat that said we were leading for probably only 3 minutes in the whole knockout rounds. And I think that is just...
it was 4.
4. Oh, give us credit.
Stato will get it right.
Give us that extra bit of credit. No, but I don't know. Just that's something about us. We like to do it the hard way, don't we, us English? So I didn't personally think our name was going to be on the trophy until it was, but we did it the hard way, and I was hoping for a less drama final compared to the whole tournament, but that's not us.
It's just not the way you do things.
No.
But one of the things that has to be credited with the team is the mentality, right? Because even if you go back to 2022, we did all the games here on talkSPORT, and I remember being at Wembley on the day they won it, and the fact that going into extra time holds no fear for this team, because there always seemed to be a plan with Sarina, that she knew exactly how the game was going to pan out. And even when the game wasn't going the way she expected it to, she knew how she was going to alter it. And she had the faith in the people that she was bringing on to make an impact. Did you have that similar faith? I was in Zurich at the Letzigrund, sitting on the sidelines, watching you and watching the rest of the team, 2-0 down with about 3 minutes to go. That's what it felt like. Did you have faith at that moment?
I mean, you're always going to have faith until the final whistle. In my head, I was thinking, how on earth am I going to pack up my room? Because my stuff is absolutely everywhere. But no, we know that the team's got so much quality. If Sarina could tell us the plans that she has in her head quite earlier on, it'd make us all feel a lot more comfortable. But yeah, she's an incredible woman with incredible tactics of the game. So she knew what she was doing. But next time, I would preferred it all a bit earlier than how long we left it.
Obviously, the big one coming, again, not to jump too far, is the World Cup. I did see some rankings that England are 4th at this moment in time. You guys have been put at 4th. Is it unfair to be 4th? Or is it fair to say that the likes of Spain will come again, France will come again? There was a lot of things that kind of went your way. I don't want to discredit it because you did really well, so I don't want to discredit it. But for a lot of people that don't know a great deal about women's football, France were going through turmoil, wasn't they? A few people out. Spain probably were the best team, but could have been better. And
Germany in transition.
Germany in transition as well. Yeah. So I just think, is that a fair assessment of being 4th or not?
Yeah, I think so. And plus, if we're seen as the underdogs a bit, then so be it. People underestimate us. But I think throughout the whole tournament, we've shown like people can underestimate us in 3 minutes to go and we're 2-0 down, and we'll try and bring it back. But the nations out there now in women's football are incredible. I mean, you saw Spain in the final. They're such a high possession team, and they probably should have created more than what they did. They put us under pressure, but apart from the goal, I can't really remember a save having to make. So I think for the possession that they had, they probably could do a lot more. And with the time they've got from now until the World Cup, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Can I just ask? Obviously, I took penalties.
Oh yeah.
What's your process for from a goalkeeper's point of view. I've never actually asked any goalkeeper this. And I was just thinking, obviously you was...
Should you not have done that when you were practicing?
I was just trying to kick it through their face was what I was trying to do. But
they're the people
you had
we
a
don't like.
specialist. What was it? Hilaria, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gomez, yeah. But I've
Gomez,
never
sorry.
really thought, like, what's your process? What do you go through? What are you thinking? Is there ever moments when you know that the players normally goes to their right, but in that moment you're going, no, the body shape or how they set up?
Yeah. So obviously before the games, we as a keeper group have meetings.
Yeah.
And we kind of analyse every penalty that individual from all the opposition teams have had. So I think Alexia had 46 penalties, so that we had to sit there and watch, and Bonmati as well, and Caldente and all the players, even if they've only taken one penalty back in 2019, we'll have it on tape and we'll watch it, and you'll kind of then pick up little triggers that they do if they go one side or the other and they change little subtleties in their run-ups, or I don't know, their arm position, or little things like that. And then obviously pressure penalties. So you'll understand, like, late minute of the game, if it's a 0-0, it's going to be a pressure penalty to get the game, and where they'll tend to put pressure penalties. And a Euros final, is quite a high pressure situation. So you'd be able to pick up little things of that. And yeah, I think with all the information that you have, then you see their run up and you just adapt in the moment to notice if you've.
That's a lot of information to store, though. Particularly that Sweden shootout. I mean, was that as traumatic for you taking part as it was for us watching? And how do you process all that information you've got when it's so chaotic?
It's hard when you've done all that research and then they go and throw someone who's not even taken a penalty before. And I've done everyone's research of everyone else. What number 17's never taken one, so this is great.
Anne-Catherine Berger had a bottle with all of the different variations on. Did you have anything like that? Or you're not going to?
No, but I think you'll like this because it's a bit of play in the game. But the Spanish keeper had it on their bottle.
Yeah.
So I thought when she's going in goal, just pick it up, chuck it into the English fans so she can't have it.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Well, she can't have it then.
There you go.
So then I don't ever put it on a bottle because anyone could do that. So I put it on my arm, and I think the TV caught that.
Yeah, makes sense.
If you put it on a bottle, then yeah.
This is just great. I love it.
This is the art of war.
Exactly.
So you picked up her bottle that she was going to use in the shootout.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. When she's gone in the goal, it's on its own, isn't it? It's in a towel. You just pick it up.
See, when did she realise? Did you see the moment she realised?
When she saw my bottle in there instead. Mine's blank, but it's the same. Like obviously the same sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just put mine in there, chucked her one into the fans, and she had an empty bottle. So
Brilliant.
she was looking where it is.
Brilliant.
That is a great story.
And I think it was
Housery.
She was walking. Yeah. Knew you'd like that one. She was walking. She was walking back or walking to take the penalty, and obviously I was walking the other way, and she was so confused, and I was trying not to just burst out laughing in her face. I was like, I don't know where it's gone.
This is happening at the key moment in a penalty shootout for the title of European champions.
Yeah, you got to do something, haven't you?
Yeah, you certainly have. Tell me what the difference was between the Spain, apart from the fact that you nicked the goalkeeper's notes, what the difference was between the Spain shootout and the Sweden shootout? Because obviously, after going through what everybody went through during that Sweden shootout, were you more comfortable in the second one because of what happened in the first?
I was probably more comfortable in the fact that I knew that we'd practiced penalties since that first one. So we would probably put a few more in the back of the net. Yeah, the Sweden one was, it was traumatic for everyone, wasn't it?
You've got to call it as it is. It was possibly the worst shootout we've
horrendous.
Let's call it fair.
Yeah, it was horrendous. And I just kept thinking every single time that we'd missed, I was like, I'm not going to save every single one. So we had a bit of luck with the post. Putting it over the bar, so we had a bit of luck. But yeah, from that one, Serena was like, you're doing penalties every single day, whether you like it or not. I mean, we were doing it before. Yeah, we were, but instead of taking... So we'll do all the small-sided games before that started. You'd have a penalty each, for both teams, and then you'd start the games. But afterwards, it was before the small-sided, you're taking at least 2 or 3. After the training session, you're down the other end taking penalties. So bless Anna and Chiara. I think they faced about 100 penalties every single day.
Just on that, did you do the walks as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's something that people don't realise. When you do a penalty shootout normally in a week, you just stand the edge of the box, people just have their penalties, and it's relatively quick. But when you're doing it for tournaments, or in our case, like the FA Cup, you have to practice the walk.
It's so long,
so much
isn't
different.
It? Yeah,
because now you're walking, you're getting, it's a bit of a distance to go. You can't emulate the fans, but it's like, well, what am I thinking in this process? Where am I going to put it? What are you thinking as a goalkeeper? Right, what does the person look like? So, Yeah, that's interesting to know that you was doing that as well.
We got so much more to talk to you about. We can stick you around for another 15 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hannah Hampton.
Got no holiday.
When did you go? You're back in action on the 6th of September, aren't you? You haven't got long before the WSL
I'm back
season
next
starts.
week.
There you go. Can't go on holiday.
I'm trying to get an extra 10 days off.
I know. I'll give you Sonia's number.
We've got Hannah Hampton with us, penalty hero, Ballon d'Or nominee, European champion, treble winner. She's in the studio, and we'll be talking more to her next about her journey to being England's number one. It's talkSPORT. Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Troy Deeney, and Hannah Hampton, the England goalkeeper, is here. And you didn't bring your medal in. Did you bring your medal in? You got it with you? Ah, what?
It's in the car.
We're talking about Scott Minto, who won the FA Cup in 1997 and has worn the medal every day since. Like, literally comes in here, the medal's there. Like, literally, he's got it as his keychain.
That's not true, but Lee Martin, who won the FA Cup for Manchester United, I bumped into him at a hotel near Old Trafford and said, well done, you scored the win in the FA Cup final in 1990. And he said, do you want to see the medal? And he just whipped it out of his pocket.
No way.
So he literally does carry it everywhere.
We actually had a conversation in the break, actually, which Troy brought up, which I thought was really interesting, which was the difference between what your life was like before you left for Switzerland and what it's been like since you've come back. Just outline that for us.
Yeah, it's different. I think before you could just walk around the streets and go about your day like a normal person, whereas coming back after the Euros, you probably get stopped every single 10 steps, and it's a change in terms of who recognises you this time. Obviously before it was loads of little girls and little boys who were really watching the games and they were tapping their fathers or their mothers saying that's this person, and whereas now it's everyone of all ages are stopping you and asking for the photos and asking just for a general chat. So it's lovely that loads more people have really tuned into the women's game.
And what does that mean for the women's game going forward, do you think? What's the impact of these double tournament wins going to be on the overall landscape of women's football?
I think it's going to obviously get more engagement throughout the season. We want to be able to play in the big stadiums and the club stadiums and sell them out. So, it's going to be a tough journey to get there, but I've got no doubt that with the success that we've had as a nation, we'll be able to do that, and slowly but surely we'll get there.
How do you think the everyday casual fan starts to engage? What do you think needs to happen to get more people to be able to sell out every single week in the men's stadium, as we call it? But even with that, there is a little element where it's difficult as well, isn't it? Because the men's stadiums, like toilets, for example, is very difficult. When we take my daughter to the Arsenal games, the queues are around the corner because obviously it's normally for men. So how do you think you grow the game while showcasing who you guys are as well?
I don't know. I think it's just getting more people to watch the games first, really relate to the us as players, and just understand that you might be supporting Chelsea men's, but also there's a Chelsea women's team who are just as successful and not too shabby. That we're doing well in, and I think with that encouraged support. I mean, Chelsea as a football club themselves, they're obviously really keen on keeping that one club philosophy, and it's showing. So if they can do it, then hopefully we can turn it on.
There's only 5 trophies for Chelsea, wasn't it, last season? World Cup, Conference League.
Anyway,
all 3 that you won
as well.
Just checking. I just wanted to count those trophies.
Quite a few.
but not the Champions League, which obviously has been the aim for a long time. Did you see what Arsenal did and use that as motivation to finally win that trophy that's eluded the club?
Yeah, definitely. I think loads of people, Chelsea fans especially, are really bitter. For me, I see it as a win for English football.
Yes.
Just being able to show that women's English teams can compete across Europe, all the European competitions, is massive and really puts English football on the map, even more so than what it already was. So as much as I should be bitter that Arsenal have won it, I'm actually happy. I saw all the joy and the excitement that it brought to all the English girls when they came into camp a couple days late, and I think that's something that everyone wants to go and chase, and to say that they've done it, not many people can do that. So hopefully Chelsea have got that soon.
Talk to us a little bit about your journey to being England's #1 goalkeeper, because if I'm right, you started out playing as a striker when you were a kid, playing for Villarreal. Is that right?
Yeah.
When you were, I think your mum and dad were teachers. Is that correct? And you were out in Spain.
Yeah.
And you also, and people will know this now, but probably didn't know it beforehand, you're also someone who suffered with a sight problem.
Yeah.
And for a goalkeeper, most people would go,
might need that one.
that's quite concerning. So explain to us, one, what the situation is now and how you found out and how you got there.
I've got a visual impairment. It's called strabismus, which is basically you're born with a squint, being cross-eyed, and I had to have multiple operations before I was 3 years old to try and straighten them, and they're not quite straight just now. I can go back for more operations, but there's always that risk that it's gonna make your eyesight worse. But alongside that, I've then found out that I've got no depth perception, so I can't judge distances, which again, as a goalkeeper, is quite needed.
How are you so good?
I mean, I've just always said that I've had to adapt. I do remember times when I was younger and playing in school and I don't know, playing at Stoke and all those times in Spain, I would misjudge things. I would get more blooded noses or broken fingers from not being able to judge the ball. But you just adapt as a kid. Like it's something that you're easily able to do. So, now I just don't know any different. So I guess I've just had to deal with it.
But also those hard times, right? Because you have had a journey getting to Chelsea. All those hard times kind of have set you up for these big moments because you're ready. You've had life troubles, haven't you, and difficult operations, as you say. So I think don't ever use that as a negative. Use it as a superpower. Like that's why you are who you are.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's journey's been tough. Yes, mine has, but everyone has, and I think loads of us as girls want to just go through and inspire people and let people know that our journeys are all different. But if you've all got the same goal and the same dream, then you can go do it. Mine's different, and I'll try and inspire all the people who've been told that they can't do it from doctors and shouldn't be doing it. But I just want people to go do what makes them happy. Like that's all that they need to do.
And I know we joked about it at the top of the programme and you played it down, you tried to be humble, but a Ballon d'Or nomination, I mean, has that sunk in yet?
No. I didn't ever think my name would be on that list. It's hard because keepers don't normally get nominated, but yeah, to be alongside some of the names that are there, it's incredible. They're amazing players, and they're players that I've looked up to and aspired their game and wanted to take aspects of theirs and really put it into mine. But yeah, no chance did I ever think it. It's lovely to be nominated, but no chance did I think that would be possible.
Lovely to be nominated with Leah.
I know.
With Lucy, with Alessia, with Chloe.
Yeah.
Who deserves it most out of you five?
Oh.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
You have been nominated also for the world's best goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That also must mean a lot to you.
It means a lot more that they've now started that women's award. Obviously, there was all the ceremonies in the past with the Ballon d'Or and the trophy just going to the men's keepers. So the fact that now the women's game has grown so much, and yeah, the women's goalkeepers had so much scrutiny in the past, but we're changing perceptions slowly, and now that's become an award is incredible to be able to recognise women goalkeepers. And you saw it in the Euros, just how incredible we are. Yeah, it's a hard position, and it's one that obviously a lot of people have their own opinions on in the women's game, but I know that every single keeper there is very resilient and willing to knock down barriers to keep people inspired and show that goalkeeping is a fun position.
We really need to go. We're getting up to midday. We know you've got to go off and do other bits and pieces, but just before we let you go, just talk to us a little bit about the fact that you've worked with some of the biggest managers in the world. You know, you've worked with Emma Hayes, you've worked with Sonia at Chelsea last year, you've done a brilliant job stepping in to Emma's shoes. You've also worked with Serena, and Serena is quite a sort of, she's very straight, or has had a reputation of being very straight and quite sort of not full of emotion, not cuddly feely, but we did see her let loose with Burna Boy.
Our favourite artist. She goes non-stop on about him every single coach journey. When we're playing the tequila song for shouting Serena's chant, she hates that, but she wants Burna Boy straight after. So she's obsessed with him.
Is she different now than when she was when you first walked into the squad?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think she was a lot more. I mean, I'd probably say relaxed. She's probably said we've aged her about 10 years just in the last tournament. But no, she was a lot more relaxed with us and easy to just chat to. She's very relatable and very personable, and she just wants to know us as people more than players. And I think that goes a long way, and it gets a lot of equality and everyone's abilities out from them on the pitch when your manager's that close and that caring of us all.
There's so much we could have talked to you about. We didn't get a chance to. How much you were annoyed by the Italians' time wasting out of 10?
Oh, 11, 12. Yeah.
I just want to say, I know we're running over and I'll get in trouble for this, but you're not very comfortable saying good things about yourself. But you are unbelievable. You are literally changing perceptions for young girls, and my daughters are exact living proof of that. So enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Make sure you smile. And remember, at one point, this will all be over. So enjoy it now.
Cheers, Troy.
No, it will be over. It'll be over.
I've got a cap.
Well, my point is, at some point, the football will be over. You'll be looking back and you'll go, I wish I enjoyed those moments.
No.
These moments don't come around. So my point is, enjoy it and you're a bloody legend.
Oh, thank you.
And make sure you enjoy it when you win the Champions League next year.
We will.
All right.
We will.
Hannah Hampton, thank you very much for coming in the studio. Really appreciate it. Hannah Hampton joining us live on talkSPORT this morning. Brilliant to have her with us for half an hour. So much still to come on the programme. In the next few minutes, we're going to be talking a little bit about a big decision that has been made in the Premier League for next campaign. And also, Rugby Australia have confirmed they're scrapping a big law. We'll do that next.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against the real prospects, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Hello, very good morning to you, Sam Matterface and Alex Crook with Troy Deeney this morning, and lots to discuss, including that fantastic interview with Hannah Hampton. She was so good, so open, and the story about the bottle is going to go viral, I think.
Legendary.
Today. Absolutely
Legendary.
Superb. Brilliant little bit of insight from England's #1 goalkeeper. Troy Deeney is here, Alex Crook as well. We've got live football tonight on the network. Birmingham City against Ipswich sees the EFL Championship season get underway. Premier League players, though, are not going to continue to take the knee as often as they did, despite the Lionesses stopping the anti-racism gesture. The Premier League has decided to keep it going during their No Room for Racism game week, so 2 weeks a year, but they aren't going to get involved in the Rainbow Laces campaign anymore. It's a fascinating turn of events, this, Troy. And I know that we sort of have been talking about this over the course of the last couple of hours privately. Players will take the knee, but the Rainbow Laces campaign is gone. Yep. The Premier League is not partnering with Stonewall anymore. The Premier League planning to do their own initiative for LGBTQ+. Is this a lack of conviction in their principles, or is this a tacit admission that we have overloaded the sport with social issues and it's failing to have an impact that it was designed for?
You know what? There's no right answer, I suppose, in this. I think the obvious one is that one was player-led, i.e. taking the knee. That was player-led, and obviously that's where the players feel passionate about. And the other one, in terms of the Rainbow Laces and the armband, was one that was just forced upon players, and as we've seen now at the last couple of seasons, certain players choosing not to do that for their religious beliefs. Personally, I think you just get to a point where the gestures become a little bit sterile anyway. I would love for them, we was talking about it, so I would love for them to do an anti-discrimination campaign throughout the year, all the time, and just be like a mandated. You don't have to take the knee, you don't have to do armbands, but it needs to be regular chats and regular meetings, because it happens in workplaces as we see here in this building and other buildings. But I think that the issue for me is that, obviously I was involved with a lot at Watford. We did things, and we're seeing people still now taking 2-3 years from in the stands to get to an end point of, court and all the litigation that has to go through that, and getting bans and fines. So it is still happening. It's still current. But I just think it perceptionally, to me, Sam, what I don't like is it looks like we've chosen one over the other, and we put an importance of one over the other, when actually they're all the same message. And what it does do then, it conflates and creates arguments between who's more important and who's more right than actually the end goal, which is anti-discrimination anyway.
So are you suggesting, rather than sort of bracketing certain forms of discrimination, there should be one big campaign against all forms of discrimination?
Absolutely, yeah, because it just feels like you're getting to the point where one's more important than others. And obviously there'll be some social issues that will happen that may bring things to the forefront at certain times. But if you've got a blanket measure over that, you can always turn back and go, look, here's what we're doing anyway.
But what is the significance of deciding that we're still going to do a couple of iterations of taking the knee, but we're not going to do the rainbow laces?
What's the
significance of that?
The significance of that for me is again, you got to that awkward position where players felt uncomfortable last year. Was it Sam Morsey and Mark Gahey Sam decided not to use it at all, and Mark decided to put I Love Jesus over the top of it. What that then did was created a problem for the Premier League, because now it's apparently everyone has to do it, but Sam didn't do it, and then somebody else is now writing over the armband. So it created confusion. It created a talking point where we wasn't actually talking about the campaign itself. We were talking about why these players had chose not to. So I think it collates the message personally.
Yeah, but what my question is what's the implication of doing one and not the other? Because ultimately, are you not turning around and saying that actually this issue is more important than that?
That's what I just said. Yeah, I think that's the presentation of it. That it looks like you're using, race is more important this year than people's sexuality. I think that's wrong. I don't think that's right. I think you should be in a position where we now go, do you know what? If we're not going to do one, we definitely shouldn't do the other, because what's going to happen now, and there'll be certain brackets of people that are doing, and people that are listening to this going, you get angry because it's okay. I don't know. The racism is more important than the sexuality. And from one side of the fence, we go, oh well, I think that it's like this. Another side of the fence, we go, well, what about us? And if you're thinking about a message, and the message that all encompassing is anti-discrimination, no room for discrimination for any types or any forms, why have we now created an argument between two sets of people that are asking for the same thing at the end of it?
I think that's absolutely spot on.
Well, the Premier League say that they will do some LGBTQ plus community activity and activation, but it would be something that's in-house, a little bit like they did with the No Room for Racism campaign. They took that in-house. They used to partner with Kick It Out. They then went.
But I think as well, though, Sam, they should. If you're going to announce that you're not going to do this, you should have something ready to go.
Yeah,
I just think it looks poorly managed. Again, optically, they might be halfway down the road of doing something, but optically,
but is the issue here is that, and you sort of mentioned it beforehand, that it is mandated. The situation with the knee is slightly different because you were all canvassed beforehand. In fact, it was player driven, right? Yeah. So I remember
no one said it was going to do it. It was David McGoldrick that did it, and Tyrone Mings, those boys, because they were the first game back for Sheffield United, Aston Villa. In COVID, they were the first game back. They did it,
and you all followed their lead,
and everyone followed suit.
Did you speak to them? Was there sort of, I don't know? No, I know there was that captain's WhatsApp group.
There was, and that was around like what we were going to do, messaging and all these different things. But when those guys decided to do it, they did it. Everyone followed suit because that's how we felt, and that's how it was. Again, that's player driven because everyone felt that message and that need. I think it's really difficult. Again, this is coming from somebody who's like. I'm a straight individual. I don't have any gay friends around me. Not that I've got any problem with that. They're just not in my friendship circle. So I can feel empathy, but I don't feel the same way as I would towards racism because that's happened to me. Does that make any sense? So I'll naturally go, okay, when we talk about racism, I've got more of a passion for it because it's like this. But I think when you start to look at these situations now, I think we're in a difficult situation where if you go around, I was having a conversation with a taxi driver last night where you're actually in a position where everyone feels slighted in their own way, whether that's a white man, a white woman, whatever. Everyone feels slighted. But we keep now creating division by actually going, the end message, and I'll keep saying this, is we want an equal and fair world for everybody. But we keep trying to make these little suggestions that then we prioritise one over the other, and we make this kind of conversation where now it's like, well, what does that mean over that? And instead of actually going, the message is anti-discrimination. Let's keep going to that point and funnel everything towards that.
And we talked about that a little bit earlier on. I said that to you because I felt as if you're in a situation where if you don't have everybody on board behind these campaigns, then the sort of cloudiness creates creates questions.
Of course.
Right?
Well, remember when Wilf Zaha didn't take the knee, for example? I was frustrated at that. Personally, because I was like, bloody hell, we're not getting behind the message. But then obviously you speak to Wilf and you understand why he said at the time, when we spoke, it's been enough years now, I hope he won't mind this, but it's like he felt that we're doing this gesture and nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
So he felt that it was pointless.
Which is why there's so many players who have decided not to do it. You had it at Middlesbrough, you had it at other clubs as well, with a high proportion of players who wouldn't get involved in it because their feeling was, and others, that it became performative rather than carrying any specific meaning. And it is a powerful gesture at the right time if done with the right intent. But if you're doing it because it's mandated, because you're told to do it and you don't actually care about it, that's a problem. And it's the same with the rainbow laces thing, right? If you're told you have to do this, but you don't necessarily believe in it, then it doesn't carry the same power. What you want is you want to get to a point where everybody is educated to a level where anti-discrimination of all kinds are at the forefront of their mind.
But we also have to remember as well, some people are just not wired, but some people just don't care.
Yeah, but
so, that's going to happen.
Footballers, stewards, journalists, right backs, left backs, forwards, goalkeepers, coach, administrators, administrative staffs are not a homogenous group. Everybody's different. Everyone's got a different religion, different views. Different politics. So you can't necessarily speak on behalf of everyone. So should you be doing any of the political or social stuff, or should you be restricting?
I think what the majority of us can agree on, though, is that discrimination of any kind is wrong. And if you make a person feel uncomfortable, then that isn't right. So that's where Troy's idea to have a blanket anti-discrimination message rather than different types of anti-discrimination messages, I think works.
It moves you away from the main message. That's all it does. It just dilutes it. But I can give you one real quick one before we go to break. I remember the first year it came in, the rainbow. It was the laces, the armband, and it was the corner flags. If you remember, I don't know, maybe 2014, maybe it's 15. And I remember having conversations around that time. But it was like, okay, is this optional or is this we have to do it? And it was you were told in no uncertain terms you had to do it, but it wasn't a conversation about what's your thoughts, what's your family's.
Was there pushback?
There was a little bit of pushback, but it was kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing. But some people had religious beliefs again but that was told, behind the scenes. That doesn't matter.
But
this is what you're going to do, and I think that's where this has now culminated in, where they've now asked the players, do you want to do it? They've had some pushback on it.
That's the tricky thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're saying that there are players that have religious beliefs that stop them from being able to get involved in that campaign, yet you're mandating that they have to do it, this is the issue. Because you're automatically discriminating, in a sense, against that person and that person's religion. So that's why you have to have people on board. You have to have the buy-in before 100%. You do these campaigns. You can't just mandate that people have to do this.
It doesn't sound like there's enough communication from the Premier League with the players themselves.
No, but what happens is you have these meetings, and this is where it's come from. You have a meeting on the first week of the pre-season. So as the course of pre-season, they'll try and get through, over the first month, they'll try and get through every team. Yeah. So they'll go in, they'll ask the same questions, they'll have the feedback, and then by the end of that, they'll go, the majority of the vote was X. Whatever that looks like. But I think, again, you've got to be able to have a plan B. So if the guys all decided, right, we're not going to do the rainbow armband and laces for whatever reason, okay, what's the backup? What are we going to do? But it seems to me that and again, there's some really good people at the Premier League that are working and trying to do things, but it's like, let's see what the players want, then we'll do something off the back of it. But what it then does, leave space for us to have these type of conversations, because we're going to get it done in the background. When people don't want to see it in the background, they want to know what's happening next.
Because there'll be people in the LGBTQ plus community that are disappointed that support that
and rightly
was so visible last year
and rightly so.
Is now not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, and rightly so for their thoughts and feelings. How can we sit here as people that are talking about it and tell somebody else how to feel?
Yeah,
it's impossible.
And I've got friends from that community who attend football, who work in football, and I know they will feel very let down.
Yeah. 03717 2233 44 if you want to get involved. Matt Gitto is coming on the programme next.
talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney. And I'm delighted to say we've got Matt Gitto on the line after Rugby Australia confirmed that they are scrapping Gitto's law, which restricts how many overseas players the Wallabies can pick in any one test squad. Matt joins us on the line now. Hi, Matt.
G'day, how are you?
We're very good, thank you. Matt, look, is this a response to a drop in consistency of the Aussie team? Explain the significance of it, because basically it means that players that play their rugby outside of Australia can now be considered for the national team without restriction. Before, there was a cap on the number that could play.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think it's more just around the landscape of changing. You look at South Africa do it. It's not a sign to show that the local talent that you've got here is weak or not strong enough. But, yeah, I just think for us at the moment, the goal, obviously moving forward now, is a World Cup. You know, we want to win the World Cup like every other country that competes in it. For us to do that, we've got to have our best players playing. So I think that's probably just more thinking about that we now we're not potentially as strong as we used to be way back when a lot of these rules were enforced. So we just needed, I think, to relax them a little bit so that we can pick our best players and have our best players, whoever Les Kiss thinks that's going to be for the World Cup, have them fit and playing for us.
So what impact will it have on the current Australia squad, do you think?
Well, it hasn't really. You know, I think the 35-man squad that just got announced for the Rugby Championship, the players that are travelling to South Africa, it's pretty similar to the Lions squad, so which was heavily Australian-based, I think, except for maybe one or two, Will Skelton being the main one. But they haven't really picked anyone else outside of Australia yet. So I think it's just more to have that flexibility at the moment. So it's not necessarily going to mean that you're picking everyone from overseas, but it's just to have that flexibility.
Matt, there's been a lot of talk over this side about Australia losing their identity. And is this a step to helping towards that? And what do you think is needed to get that Australian identity back to where it once was?
Sorry,
it's a massive question.
No, that's fine. I mean, there's so many comments at the moment around the game, and a lot of them, I think, are based on just a headline. I think this is another one. You know, the players, they know their identity. They know how they want to play. Joe Schmidt, how potentially when we were winning a lot of competitions we were playing was probably reflective in the players that we had. At the moment, we've got a young squad. We've got to rebuild that. I thought the Lions series was a great test to show, you know, the depth and character of our young players. As far as identity, it's just time in the saddle. These are new players. They're getting used to Test rugby, for one. Two, obviously getting judged week to week pretty harshly. So as far as identity, I kind of think that we've always got that, and every player, when they play for their country, wants to do their best they can for the Wallabies in our case.
What is the state of Super Rugby in Australia and the club game in particular? Because obviously when you were playing, you were lured overseas by big contracts and the chance to play professionally elsewhere. What is the current state of the game? Are players looking actively to go out and play in France where there is, I suppose, bigger contracts available?
I think, you know, obviously they're looking at that. You've got to look at that. Like, this is a profession. It's like any other job. So while loyalty is obviously one thing for each player's, what drives them and what they play in the game for can be totally different. So as far as the state of the game, I think it's in a really healthy place. I think we lost a little bit of edge in Super Rugby when we lost South Africa, as far as just getting that physicality, getting used to it, playing these South African bodies more consistently so that you're not as surprised when you come up against them at the test level. But the Super Rugby, I think it's at a high standard. As far as Wallabies are concerned, a lot of players that could have gone elsewhere have re-signed this year. I think in the last 3 months, there could be close to 10 or 12, you know, players that have re-signed to stay in Australian rugby because you've got that home World Cup. I mean, I think when they signed, they didn't know about this rule getting changed. But still, having said that, you know, they stayed and they signed on with the lure of playing in a home World Cup, which is pretty special.
So it would have changed if that rule hadn't have been in place?
Well, I don't know. I think from my point of view, to experience something different and play in a totally different environment, a new culture. It's not just always about the paycheck, but just being overseas, having just a different environment to play can sometimes be very stimulating for a player. So if it was me, you know, and I had played a lot of years Super Rugby, I probably would look at it now that you've got the opportunity to still play for your country and go overseas. However, overseas teams aren't going to sign players that have a real strong desire to, like, as easily to sign a player with a real strong desire to still play for his country, because he won't be there as often. So that also will come into play now, I think, with the negotiations as well.
Matt, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. It's Matt Giteau, the former Australian player, talking about the change in Giteau's law, which was brought in when he went off and played elsewhere, and Drew Mitchell, Sekou Kupu were lured aboard by big contracts, and it was introduced to allow a set number of overseas players to play for Australia. They're getting rid of that, especially with the home World Cup upcoming. Coming up over the course of the next half an hour, Championship season is back. It starts tonight. Troy's going straight from here to St Andrews to watch Birmingham against Ipswich. It's live on talkSPORT.
Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Some are pretty straightforward. Arsenal are the Gunners because they were founded by a group of munitions workers, and Bournemouth are the Cherries because their old stadium was built right next to a cherry orchard. Then there's Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ipswich Town nicked their nickname off their opponents in the late 90s, Birmingham. The term Tractor Boys was chanted as a way to tease the team about their farming background, but they started using it themselves as a way to cheer on the team in victory instead. Take that, Birmingham. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire's also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Crystal Palace's nickname came from an extreme makeover. They were having a nightmare run in the 70s, and when they were relegated, their manager, Malcolm Allison, wasn't having it. I know what will make us better, he thought, a new nickname. The Strong and Deadly Eagle sounded like a pretty good bet. And there's more to that story. Brighton used Palace's nickname to inspire their own. Ooh, bird, they thought. Let's just pick a different one for us. And so in a heated match between the two teams back in 1976, when Palace fans began chanting "Eagles, Eagles," Brighton fans had the perfect reply: "Seagulls, Seagulls." So next time the away ends chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Johnson plays it through. Smolix is onside. Smolix hits it through the legs of Edison, and it's in. What a start for Ipswich Town.
It's going to be tough. I think we're going to be, made to work for every single point.
Goes right to Harmer into the penalty area, shooting and scoring. A lightning break from Sheffield United.
Wrexham able to build from that. Ollie Rappo, edge of the area, right-footed shot, and a screamer to open the scoring at the racecourse ground.
Good ball inside the area, and Stansfield does it again. And Birmingham City have turned this around, and they lead.
Well, I want these players to know they have all the support they need for them to go out there and accomplish their goals.
And then Downs! And Flynn Downs has driven in the equaliser, and Southampton have come up with the equalising goal. Gets the cross in left-footed. Radoni! Coventry lead! Comes back to Ayew, hits it well! Hits it into the bottom corner! 2-0 to Leicester City.
Yes, the Championship is back tonight. 8 o'clock kickoff live on talkSPORT. Very much looking forward to it this evening. Birmingham City against Ipswich live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Southampton Wrexham is live talkSPORT as well. We're round the grounds with Adrian Durham. We've got Commentary Hull on talkSPORT 2. And for 5:30 tomorrow night, Sheffield United against Bristol City. That's another interesting storyline as well. Simon Watts is EFL expert and he joins us now. Hi, Simon.
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going, Sam?
Yeah, very good, thank you. So many brilliant storylines to talk about. Can we start off by talking about Sheffield Wednesday, though, because it is a massive story. It's a massive problem. This is one of the biggest clubs in the EFL, yet they're in a terrible situation. Henrik Pedersen in charge now, but it's been a summer of toil and trouble.
It really has. And, this is Henrik Pedersen, not the ex-Bolton player, but the former assistant manager to Danny Rowley's no real managerial experience, only in the sort of German third tier and managed a little bit in Norway. I suppose they've got the consistency of having somebody who was in the dressing room last year. But that dressing room, as you mentioned, has been absolutely decimated. Pretty much all the goals at the top end of the pitch have gone. Players have walked out. Aside from Barry Bannon signing a new contract this week, and he's 35 years of age, obviously carries a lot of burden of responsibility of Sheffield Wednesday supporters. It is a scratch squad, which, there were one or two doubts as to whether the team would even take to the pitch against Leicester on Sunday. Now, a tiny bit of good news, I suppose, and it's your minimum expectation, is that the players and staff have been paid this morning. So they're up to date on payments, which, there were several months behind over the summer. As I say, that's a kind of minimum expectation in any job, isn't it, to get paid? So it's not like that's a great achievement, but at least it gives those players that small bit of certainty before they go out onto the pitch. But as things stand with Desron Chansiri at the moment, seemingly no closer to a new takeover. I mean, there's always going to be interesting clubs in the Championship, but at the moment, no takeover seems to be imminent. And with that being the case, Sheffield Wednesday find themselves in a massive, massive mess really going into the new season.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really? I think for the players as well, to be paid, as you say, is the minimum. But I just wonder, how are they likely to attract anybody, even give themselves a chance? Because if you're trying to sell, surely you need to be able to present that your team is solid enough to stay in the league. It doesn't make any sense for them to keep, just failing on so many fronts.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in the cynical world of football, there are so many hundreds of players who are sort of released every season that there'll always be somebody willing to come to a club, especially as big as Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, they're already hamstrung in terms of, how they can deal in the transfer market, basically free transfers and loans anyway. But, I think Sheffield Wednesday will always have that pulling power. And, the one thing I would say is a sort of glimmer of hope is that, the Championship, as we know, is such a strange league. If that takeover can happen, and we've seen it with, Birmingham City in more recent times, when a club is reaching that rock bottom moment and somebody comes in, things can change for better and for worse very, very quickly. Look at Luton 2 years ago in the Premier League, now in League One, but it can go the other way as well. So, the hope is obviously, I think, Sheffield Wednesday fans, weirdly, if you'd asked them, could we go, would you take relegation to League One, but with a new owner next year? I think most will probably bite your hand off and then, look at themselves to do an Ipswich or a Birmingham. But as things stand at the minute, it doesn't really look like there are any prospective buyers on the horizon. None that are certainly very public anyway.
OK, we'll talk about the relegated side in just a second there, Ipswich, Southampton and Leicester City, because Crookmeister is pretty strong on one of those, coming straight back up, aren't you?
Yeah, I just can't see past Ipswich, to be honest. I think in Kieran McKenna, they've got the best manager in the division. Obviously, they've lost a lot of goals in Liam Delap, and I guess that's the one area of their team maybe with question marks. At the moment, Amari Hutchinson is still there. They've clearly got funds to spend because they put a £20 million bid in for Hayden Hackney. Do you see them, Simon, as the standout contenders? I don't see Leicester bouncing straight back, particularly with the threat of a points deduction. I watched Southampton last weekend against Brighton, and I'm not sure they're going to bounce back at the first time of asking, as they did last time they were relegated either.
No, you're right. And, as great a young coach as Will Still is, he's not managed in the Championship before and is very different, and taken over a club that had lost just so many games as they did last season, with inevitably a fair few players leaving them, high-profile players this summer as well. It is difficult to see, quite how that one will go. But from an Ipswich point of view, I was down at the training ground this week, actually, speaking to Kieran McKenna and a couple of the players. And, what's mad is that, the way the Championship works nowadays, it maybe comes as no surprise that, there have been 11 managerial changes in the summer. Only 5 teams have the same manager in charge who started last season. And Ipswich being one of those. And only one of those teams, by the way, were in the Championship at the start of last season. John Mousinho, Portsmouth. The others, Birmingham, Wrexham, Charlton, Ipswich. But Kieran McKenna has that, that stability. He's been there for 4 years now. Only Phil Parkinson is longer serving in the Championship. And, as you mentioned, I think they probably expected Liam Delap to go quite early in the year. It's interesting to see George Hurst has taken the number 9 shirt and scored a few goals in pre-season. And, they've got real high hopes for him this season. I think Chuba Akpom, if it doesn't happen in time for the game tonight, it will happen early next week as well. So, I agree. I think that, even though what they invested wasn't enough to keep them in the Premier League last season, when you look at how far they've come in a short period of time, I think they're probably the best equipped of those clubs on and off the pitch, really, at this moment in time, from those teams who've gone down from the Premier League to go straight back up again.
Yeah, we were talking about the strength of the league, and Troy and I think it's going to be more competitive than it was last season, largely because of the fact that you've got really strong teams coming up from League One. It's not all about Wrexham and Birmingham City, so we'll move on from that. I know that Troy thinks it's all about Birmingham City. It's not all about them, but there are other teams that have had a change manager in the last 12 months that I think probably would have been part of the conversation for promotion, but haven't really been talked about as much. I'm talking about Sheffield United, because they've got Ruben Sellés in charge, Middlesbrough, new gaffer in there, and of course Coventry City as well, who picked up Frank Lampard at the end of last season and nearly made it all the way to the playoff final.
Yeah, they were 17th when he took over. And, I remember covering a few of the early matches when he took charge. And, it didn't look at that time like there was any particular sign of having a massive burst in form. But, that is the Championship for you. They skyrocketed up the table. And so cruelly lost, didn't they, against Sunderland in the playoff semi-finals as well. So a good start for the season for them, again, against the Hull City side who only stayed up on the final day. And, the managerial changes they've had there, I don't really have particularly high hopes for Hull this season. Keeping Hadji Wright fit is going to be key. I do worry whether maybe the goals are still missing a little bit from Coventry to be a top 2 challenger. But Jack Redoni is probably, one of the best playmaking players in his position in the Championship. And, I think if Coventry can put a whole season together and not just get it together in the second half, they'll be a real force, because they're just terribly slow starters in the last 3 or 4 years. Nevertheless, they've made it through to the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 of them.
You mentioned Hull there. What's the latest situation with their transfer embargo? Because I've spoken to the owner a couple of times, and he was quite confident that the EFL would at least reduce it maybe to 1 transfer window, if not overturn it completely. Is there any news of when that decision might be made?
Yeah, no news on when it's going to happen, but at the moment they're still operating under similar restrictions to Sheffield Wednesday, free transfers and loans. And look, in the last 24 hours, they picked up Ollie McBurney on a free transfer who, you know, on paper, that's a good championship signing, really. So, you know, there are still players available. You know, it's such a curious football club, because he's thrown a lot of money at it, but kind of done everything that you shouldn't do when running a football club, really, including obviously getting rid of a pretty successful manager this time, 14 months ago, and Liam Rossigna, replacing him with Tim Wouter. And then even Ruben Selles, you know, it's quite an embarrassing look to sack a manager who's kept you up, and then he goes and gets a job at one of the leading promotion contenders this season. So, you know, they've got another new manager in charge as well. You know, it's difficult to keep up. I'm having to write all of these down, but Sergej Jakirovic, he's Bosnian, he's managed in Croatia, Slovenia, Turkey. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Sometimes these managers will come in, you don't know much about them, and they really hit the ground running and do well. But you've got to look at them as a whole and think, you know, that's a football club that, you know, particularly being hamstrung in the transfer market at the moment, you know, it's difficult to really see them doing much in the league this season, really.
Okay, so much to talk about, so much that will unfold over the course of the next 9 months or so. All starts tonight. League One and League Two already underway, by the way. Don't know if you saw Cardiff against Port Vale last night. Was a difficult watch at times, wasn't it? But I expect tonight's game between Birmingham and Ipswich to be a lot more entertaining. Simon, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. We do have live football tonight. Birmingham, Ipswich, Southampton, Wrexham on Saturday, and Coventry, Hull as well. Game day live with Adrian, Dean Ashton, Lucy Ward and Mickey Gray on Saturday from 2:30, and the Community Shield Liverpool Crystal Palace is on Sunday, so make sure you're with us for that. It's all the football all the time. You know it makes sense. It's got to be talkSPORT. Yeah, quick, put that donut down. Quick,
It's
put it
my
down.
birthday.
Put it
My
down.
birthday.
Because the cameras went on then, right? while you were scoffing that donut. He's got the ump anyway.
I have got the
It
ump.
is his birthday, but he's got the ump, right? He's got the ump. He's got the hump with Hannah Hampton's agent for nicking his donut. Can you believe it?
He took the Biscoff donut.
he's
obviously the best.
And more importantly, similar to when you bought him breakfast this morning, I've bought him donuts.
Didn't say thank you.
No, thank you.
No,
thank you.
Didn't. You don't. You forget. I think you.
I was expecting, a cake with a candle. And all.
I have bought you a present, by the way.
No, you haven't.
I actually have. Hey, can I go in my bag? Is that okay? All right. I'm going in my bag.
Here we go. What's he bought me here?
Because you know where I was last week, right?
Nashville.
Yeah.
I was in Nashville, and then I was
New York.
New York.
Right? And I thought Crookie will love this.
Have you got my cowboy hat?
No. We didn't think that would suit you. I got you one of these. It's a chocolate bar. Special chocolate bar. Do you want to show it to the camera? Tell everyone what it is.
It's a Donald Trump chocolate bar. I'm assuming because he'd eat himself. Is that why?
No, absolutely not, mate. No, we wouldn't say such a thing.
I'll have that on the train on the way home.
Right, okay. We've got to just talk about a couple of transfer lines that we've got over the course of the last few hours. Let's start with Chelsea and Alejandro Garnacho. When I was doing that squad analysis earlier on, we were looking at they are quite well stocked in terms of forward positions, but an experienced left-sided player or someone who can play as an alternative to Cole Palmer might be useful. Alejandro Garnacho has been spoken about a lot. 50 million quid seems steep for someone who's already told everybody he wants to go, and they obviously want to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's United's asking price. I'd be surprised if Chelsea met it. I think Chelsea can afford to wait. Obviously, Manchester United has been very active in terms of incomings. Not so active in terms of getting rid of the bomb squad, for want of a better phrase. Marcus Rashford has gone, but not for a fee, only really for coverage of his wages. Jadon Sancho is still there, Anthony is still there, Malacia is still there, and of course Garnacho himself. So what I think will happen here is Chelsea will leave it quite late in the window. They'll hope that Manchester United get desperate, and they'll hope they can do a really good deal. He only wants to join Chelsea, is our understanding. There was some interest from clubs overseas and maybe Aston Villa, but I think he's got his heart set on a move to Stamford Bridge. And it's Paul Winstanley, one of the two sporting directors, as we reported a couple of weeks ago with your help, who is driving this transfer. I'm torn on it. I think there's raw ability there, Troy, but I don't think the attitude backs up the application, and he comes as damaged goods after what happened.
And I was going to say, do you think his actions from the back end of last season, the last week or so, to now, and the things he's done on holiday and all of those different things he's done on social media, while he may feel he's relevant because people are talking about him, do you think actually football directors and the smart people within football are going, I don't know if I want to bring that in the building?
Yeah, that would be my reading of the situation, but Chelsea took a chance with Jadon Sancho on loan in the second half of last season, and that worked out okay.
Yeah, it did. He obviously scored in the Conference League final, but he also has an impact in big games, Garnacho, doesn't he? I mean, we've seen that as well. Big FA Cup finals, big games, big matches across the course of the season. Yes, okay, obviously there was some sort of falling out there with Ruben Amorim, but this is a player who when he first burst on the scene, everyone was very excited about. So there is something there, and if Chelsea can harness it, then...
Yeah, but the problem you've got now, again, similar to what we talked about with Newcastle earlier, if you're Chelsea, you've just won the Club World Cup.
Everything.
Your team looks solid and in really good positions, and a young squad that's going together. again, all the actions you've seen from him falling out about not being picked in the final, why would you want to add that into the group? But that temperament might change because he's not going to play week in, week out. I think at Man United, again, Crookie's more over this than me, he started a lot of games because of necessity. Like, there's a lot of times, if you had a proper winger there, they would have dropped him a few times.
He probably played too much too early, I would suggest, particularly under Erik ten Hag. I think someone needs to get a hold of him and tell him that he's not Ronaldo 2.0. And I think there is a big part of his ego that thinks he is, and he'll end up at Real Madrid. I think it's quite sad that he's come to this at Manchester United because, yes, he has had an impact in big games. But if you look at his statistics, as I'm sure Ruben Amorim did in the second half of last season, they're very poor in terms of goal involvement.
Dongo Ouattara is on the radar of clubs in and around Europe, but also on the radar of a Premier League club.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of these domino-type deals this summer, and I think dominoes might just fall into place. If Brentford get Ouattara, that would probably enable Johan Wissa to go to Newcastle. Does it then embolden Liverpool when it comes to Alexander Isak potentially, although I think Newcastle are going to need to sign 2 strikers to facilitate that move. But he's a good player, Ouattara. He's versatile. If you remember when Bournemouth lost both their strikers to injury last season, he had a spell playing up front and actually he scored a few goals.
Did well, yeah. I like him. I think he's a natural replacement for Wissa. I think he could do that, play anywhere across the front three. I think he might actually thrive because at Bournemouth, someone they bought in, but he's not the main man.
No, he's
not
a squad player.
Exactly. I think at Brentford, he would go and be the main man. And I think there's so much room for him to grow. So, but he's still got 3 years left on his deal, has he not? So it might be a bit more expensive than Brentford would normally go for.
I think what's key here is that he's told Bournemouth he'd like to explore a move away, and I don't think they'll stand in his way if they get a decent offer.
Interesting. Manchester United are believers in Carlos.
Oh, well, listen, he's a top player. I mean, Troy, you and I saw him a few times last season. It's taken a while because they signed him as the sort of Caicedo replacement, and
he's so young. Though.
I think last season he really flourished, and if he has another season like that, I think you're talking Caicedo money in a year's time.
He's going to be worth so much,
and that's why Brighton won't let him go now. And at Manchester United, I think, is just trying to get their interest in there early, so that maybe gives them an advantage.
I think United have to get him this window, or they don't get him.
Just smash a big.
Yeah, I think they have to get him now.
He can do it all, can't he?
But I think if he has another good season, I do think other teams, your Real Madrid and the like, will come in and go, "Bosh, we'll have him." I think if Man U need him and want him, they definitely need him. I think if I'm Amorim, I'm kind of bullish on that. Get this deal done because then I can get you into Europe, and then they can obviously build from that. He's the hole that changes that whole midfield because he can be the sitter. And he can let Bruno Fernandes go, and he can cover the ground. I think when you look at Casemiro, Ugarte, even Mainu to a point, they're not solid sitters, but also they don't cover the ground as well as this kid does. I think he's a really special player.
It's been a neglected position at Manchester United probably since Michael Carrick retired.
Yeah,
that sort of protection in front of the back four, but also someone who can pass the ball.
But you signed Ugarte to do that, right?
Yeah, but you saw what they did when Arsenal went and got Rice, right?
Yeah.
They spent 100 million.
Well, United should have signed him years ago.
But it instantly changed the way Arsenal were, and it moves them up 5, 10, 15 places if it's Man United, in my opinion.
You shouldn't be advising any football club. We know
the sad part about it is he is. That's the sad part about it.
And look what's happened to them. Right, okay. What are you doing this weekend, Troy? Birmingham tonight. Birmingham tonight.
Chilling.
We'll tell you.
No, yeah. I'm working tonight, chilling for the rest of the weekend.
You're chilling the weekend, are you?
Yeah, see me, mum.
What are you doing the weekend?
I'm at Oxford tomorrow. I'm going to ask John Massinio why he's ignored my text asking to come on for the last 3 days. So that'd be interesting. And then Wembley with you on Sunday.
Should I ring him for you?
Yeah, give him a shout. do you know what it is? I played in that game, didn't I, that you bottled with a dodgy hamstring, and he did give me a rollicking for not coming short enough for one of his passes. So I wonder if he's held that against me.
Mate, to be honest with you, the way you were moving, everything you were coming short for.
Scored though.
Yeah, from 4 yards out.
8.
It's on video. And
happy birthday, though, mate.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday. By the way, how much of that donut did you eat? Did you eat all of it?
I've saved half for the train.
For the train.
With my Donald Trump chocolate.
Okay, good. Right, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate both of you. It's been great to be back with you. Should we do it again soon? When should we do it? Is it next Friday? We're going to do it next Friday. Then we'll do it next Friday. Okay, see you then.